Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to a close to Halloween special spooky episode of the Wisdom Save podcast. As always, I'm Ken.
I'm Hannah still.
And so today we're back again at our sort of like mutual episode where we come in with a pre-planned topic, sticking with the
Spooky theme.
spooky theme of the month. We've decided to do something a little bit spooky and a little bit nerdy all at once, kind of roll all of our interest areas together. So, what we've decided we're going to do is we've separately and independently gone through the myriad of Dungeons and Dragons source books and monster manuals and like websites and wikis and stuff like that. And Hannah and I have independently developed our top 10 scariest Dungeons and Dragons monsters list.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know, how do we want to do this? Are we going to just kind of like go back and forth? And
yeah, we're going to go down from 10, which is least scary, to 1, which is most scary.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to share like both our 10s and both our 9s and both our 8s all the way down to the first one.
I'm cool with this.
And we're going to at the end, when we're done sharing each of our creatures at their numbered spot, we're going to decide which one we think is scarier out of the 2 we pick.
Oh, okay. So that's going to be interesting because like a part of me like already, and this is something we've kind of like talked about already, but like we have very different for certain things, not for all things, but for certain things we have very different opinions on like what's scary
Right.
and what's not scary. So I honestly do wonder how many of our monsters are going to be the same. Like there's like hundreds of D&D monsters.
I went through the D&D Beyond list of monsters.
Okay,
like
yeah.
all of them. Like even like the NPC enemies and stuff. Like I didn't pick any of that.
Oh, like Archmage and Druid and
like
stuff
all
like
of
that,
them. Every single enemy you could find. And there's 95 pages
yeah.
of monsters. And so I picked every single one I could think that even would be kind of scary. And I narrowed it down, and then narrowed it down, and then narrowed it down, and then I got my list. And then we also have a few honorable mentions we're going to talk about before we get to 3, 2, 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there were a couple that like almost made the list for me, and then I decided against for one reason or another. So we'll mention those in our honorable mention list. So, if anybody, we'll make sure to include descriptions and little tidbits about these monsters for anyone who doesn't maybe know some of the like the classic or more obscure D&D monsters all that well. And we also will. What's our qualification going to be? Like when we're talking scary, do we mean like spooky?
See,
Or
you've asked me this before when we came up with this.
That's why I want to
prompt.
get that on the table now so everyone knows what we're dealing with.
Honestly, I don't really see too much of a difference between scary, spooky, except spooky is kind of like light scary, but then creepy and like scary are like the same thing to me.
No, see, like for me, scary could be like, oh, like I'm like terrified to like encounter that thing, not because it's like spooky or creepy, but just because like it's large and has big teeth. Like I don't know, I see spooky and creepy as very distinct things from scary. So we went for this one. It's creatures that are like scary.
For mine, I went for creatures that I would not be able to see without freaking out.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I ended up doing. Okay, so it worked out. That's pretty much where I ended up going. There were some that I was like, like
whether they're my NPCs or whether it's me in person. If both of me and my characters would not be okay with seeing this creature in person, then they went on the list.
Oh yeah, I thought a little bit about some of my D&D characters as well and how they would deal with and how they have dealt with some of these horrifying monstrosities that we're about to go into. So before we get into our top 10, If there's any that we don't mention that you guys think should be on the list, feel free to let us know in the comments. We went through a lot of the monsters, but like maybe you have a fun story or an anecdote from your own campaigns about something horrible that a monster did that like could be a very interesting story for us to read through, or maybe could be some inspiration for some
God.
future frights.
That's what I was afraid of. Is I went through all of these scary things, and I was like, Ken's gonna like use all of these in the campaign now. Like I'm just handing him a folder of all the shit I'm afraid of, so he can use it in our campaign.
There is, I will neither confirm nor deny whether that was my inspiration for this podcast. It's totally for Halloween purposes.
And nothing
nerdy
else.
Halloween purposes, and totally not to horrify you in the future. Scout's honor.
Anyway, tell me what you guys think is the scariest monster, because I want to know for sure.
Oh, yes, absolutely. So I guess without further ado, we should probably start with our top 10.
Yeah. Also, I'm going to try my best, no promises, but I'm going to try my best to get all of the creatures that we have in our individual spots, and we're going to try and get title cards up of all of them.
Oh, yes. Hopefully, and I am officially making no promises, but hopefully you will be seeing these monsters as we mention them, so you can get a good picture of them.
Because I already know that there's one that I'm going to have an issue with, because, like, I'm pretty sure most of the D&D art is like free game to use.
Yeah, a lot of it's part of OGL, open game license. Like you're just allowed to use it for things.
So of course I'm going to ask Ken which ones are and which ones aren't, because he probably knows better than I do. But I know for sure I couldn't find a picture of one of my creatures.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And so I'm in my I have my iPad, so it has pictures of all of them, so Ken can see.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
And those are probably going to be the ones I use on here. I used a picture from Pinterest as one of them that I couldn't find.
Okay.
And I screenshot the artists, or at least the person who posts it, like their tag and stuff, so that I'll probably message them too and ask if I can use it before I use it. But
oh, cool, good idea. Yeah.
If you see it, it worked out. If you don't see it, it's probably gonna be like a picture I drew in 5 minutes.
Cool. So look forward to that. That's interesting. That already means that we have one that's different, because I only picked things that I could find pictures of.
Oh, okay. Yep. Okay. Well, we're gonna go on to number 10 first.
Do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first?
I want to go first because mine's funny.
Yours is funny. Okay, cool.
It's not gonna be funny to anyone else, but it's funny to you.
Yeah. We'll start with Hannah. So, Hannah's list, number 10, the scariest monster in Dungeons and Dragons. What do we got? Tell us a little bit about him.
The intellect devourer.
Oh, I'm an asshole.
Yeah, the intellect devourer I put at number 10. It's a tiny aberration with a lawful evil alignment. It's only a challenge rating of 2.
Which challenge rating can be deceiving.
Yeah. Like I looked at like the it's not one of my monsters, so I'm going to talk about it. I looked at it was like the aberrant chicken or something like that. It was like,
oh yeah, from one of like the Toma beasts or whatever. Yeah,
and I was like, that thing's freaky, but it's only like a challenge 1/4.
Oh yeah, or like a cockatrice or something.
Yeah, like the evil cockatrice. Yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, so also for those of you who don't know D&D all that well, challenge rating, what she was referring to, is like, this is a decent challenge for a party of like 4 adventurers who are this level. So like, level 2 is low level. This is supposed to be a creature that's like, ooh, it's kind of threatening for a group of fresh off the block adventurers who are just trying out. The looks can be deceiving.
Except this thing's basically just it's tiny, I guess. So it's just a brain with like 4 like lion's paws coming out of it.
Pretty much.
It's called an intellect devourer, and it's like a walking brain on 4 legs. They're servants to mind flayers, and they take over victims' minds on the mind flayer's behalf. They're capable of consuming a creature's mind and their memories, subsequently entering the person's body and using it as their new host. Normally, it then is using the host's bodies to lure others to, like, lure their friends. Like, it uses them as, like, a puppet. It gets all of their memories and all of their, like, it knows how to act as them at that point, pretty
Oh
much.
yeah, absolutely.
And then it can like convince its friends, oh, you should just come hang out with me in this one place I found. It's super cool. And then it
I
just
found
tries
a
to.
tree fort in the woods. Come join
Mm-hmm.
us.
Um, but then it just tries to, if you kill them, then it jumps out of their brain. It tries to take you over instead. Um, yeah, as soon as it takes you over, it kills you. Unless you
By
can,
literally devouring your
yeah,
brain.
by eating your brain. Unless it can, unless you can switch the host's brain back into its body and restore them within a few seconds. A wish spell can also restore the host's brain, by forcing the creature out of you.
Wish, of course, being some of the most powerful magic in existence in Dungeons and Dragons. The ability to effectively bend reality to your will with a word is one of the only things that can solve this problem.
Yeah.
An important thing, I don't know if we quite crossed this one, and this one's super relevant to you, Hannah. Maybe we can share that story.
Mm-hmm.
Intellect Devourers have the supernatural ability to kind of like send out this like pulsing vibration frequency. If you're hit by it, you have a chance to resist it, as in most monsters in Dungeons and Dragons. You have the ability to kind of like shrug off certain effects if you're tough or like mentally sturdy enough. This one targets specifically your intellect, your memories, your brain functions, your neural pathways. If you are unable to resist the frequency of its sonic blast, it will actually drain your mental status. We're talking like direct intelligence damage. Best way to describe this is like every point of quote damage that it deals you just shaves off 10 IQ. Like you temporarily, and it is temporary to a certain extent, don't have that anymore, and you kind of like dissolve into this drooling, slithering mess, unless it manages to drop your IQ, or in D&D terms, intelligence score, to 0. In which case, your neural pathways close off, your brain shuts down, and you go comatose until it is fixed by powerful magic.
Yeah, which you can only do with some of the most powerful magic that there like is.
Right. Which is why it makes no sense to me that these things are considered to be a appropriate threat for new adventurers. This thing is a monster. It hits somebody who isn't like a certified genius, and they crumple and they're out cold for days, weeks, months, years. Coma.
Or
instantly.
you're dead, because the moment it gets you into a coma, it eats your brain and swaps places with it, and then
Right.
it takes your body over.
Yeah. Takes it a couple of seconds, but once it's got a comatose victim next to it, it will then basically use kind of teleportation. It like tucks its legs in and then just kind of bloops and swaps places with your own brain inside your skull. Your brain falls on the ground, it's inside your head, and then it puppet masters your body, which is now basically just a corpse.
Yeah. And the reason why it's funny is because Ken did this to me recently. And he didn't. My character is not even stupid. Like she's pretty smart.
Honestly, like she's the party's, like she's a barbarian, which barbarians get the bad rap for being dumb. But you play a lot of intelligent barbarians. You've played several. Two. That's several. That counts. What do they have? Like it was like 15 and 14 intelligence for both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, Asher had 15 and Ivy has 14 intelligence. Yeah. I rolled really, really, really high, and Ivy had jumped on someone who had an intellect devourer in their head. She leapt down a 40-foot flight of stairs and landed on their rib cage, crushing them, which
was fine of itself.
Yeah, until it, kind of the pressure popped their skull cap off, and the intellect devourer came crawling out and sang to you.
And then Ken basically crit me with the little damage he needed to do, which
5 and a 6,
which made my intelligence go down to 0, and then I was comatose, and so my friends had to save my ass before it fucking switched places with my brain and took me over. Ken was like, "You're literally 5 seconds away from it swapping place with your brain, and then you hand me your character sheet, and now I'm Ivy, and you're dead." And I'm like,
and then I start killing your friends. Yeah. That was a mess. That situation was a mess, and is a great example of how something that, like, I mean, it's kind of just like a creepy brain with like large
Claws.
cat. Like yeah, it's like the size of a house cat.
Yeah.
Like it's not like
It's tiny.
it's not
It's
something
not
that,
even house cat size.
yeah. Well, yeah, house cats are tiny sized.
Are they?
Yeah. Fine is like the size of a fly, like a bit smaller than that. Like fine, diminutive. Tiny is like house cat.
Mm.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go on to your topic.
But yeah, so that monster is absolutely horrifying. Like seeming like it's like a creepy like Bond villain cat, but in a nightmare fuel kind
Also,
of
it comes out
way.
of fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
You have no
Because
idea what's happening. It's hiding inside somebody and it has perfect camouflage.
Mhm.
It's like, I have all this person's memories, thoughts.
Mhm.
I know how they act. I know how they like feel. So I'm just gonna pretend to be them, and then I'm gonna try and kill these other people. And then if they kill me, then they just kill my host, and I'll just take one of them, and then I start killing them again.
Hell yeah.
So
I love that
freaky.
stuff. So, my number 10.
Mm-hmm.
This one's also actually a little trip down memory lane for us.
Oh God, okay.
You're going to recognize this one. My choice for the number 10 scariest monster in D&D is the Nothic.
Oh.
So let me read you a little description of what the Nothic is. So it's a medium-sized, another aberration being like some sort of like alien, like monstrous creature. Pinkish and gray at different points of its strangely fleshy composition. This sort of like rotting carapace kind of look to it with these like strange spikes jutting out the back. Relatively sharp fangs over a grinning, almost like rictus smile mouth, and a very large central glowing green eye. It has a sort of like unnerving malevolence to it. It's very, very perceptive and is able to like see things coming up that other people maybe would have a harder time seeing. It is true sight up to 120-foot radius, meaning not only can it see perfectly in the dark, it can see perfectly even if it would otherwise be blinded. It can also see straight through illusions. It can see straight through invisibility or any sort of magic that would conceal you. The creature itself is mostly content to watch, wait, and assess the creatures that it encounters. But once it is driven to violence, it will attempt to use its gaze to literally strip the flesh from its enemy's bones. First of all, it has an ability that allows it to, if it sees you, it can concentrate on you real hard and like peer into your soul. And once it does so, if you're unable to resist its beguiling charm, it extracts a memory from you. Maybe it learns a fact or a deep seated secret, something you don't want to reveal to anybody. Maybe it learns the sound of a voice of someone that you care about or love, and it will then attempt to use that secret against you, either to lure you in or scare you, unnerve you. It's malicious in its intent. Once it actually is able to physically get in close range to you and see you, it can flash its eye, and it sort of is like this like necrotic ray, and it will literally like peel the flesh and skin back from your bones slowly. It didn't really get a chance to use this against you guys when
I was
you
gonna
fought
say,
it.
it didn't get that far.
You fought it literally years ago. Yeah, you guys were horrified by it. You kind of got the drop on it, but it hit one of you with
Me.
it, but it missed a couple of times too.
Well, it also it got me with that little ray where it learned things about you.
Yeah, the weird insight. Yeah, because one of the things that it tends to like to do is it likes to be in like crystalline caverns or like places where there are mirrors and things that it can reflect its eyesight off of. Because it doesn't need direct line of sight to be able to peer into your secrets.
Right.
It can like see you in a reflection and learn about you. So it likes to like hide amongst mirrored surfaces and watch you as you approach, or like hide in like on the top of like a cavern ceiling and like crawl along watching you and learning things about you so it can get more information when it's ready to strike. It is actually, for those of you who know anything about like secret D&D lore, the Nothic was actually a creation, kind of like how like things like owl bears and stuff are created monsters. It was originally created by wizards who devoted their lives to unearthing arcane secrets, who were cursed by the dark god Vecna.
Oh.
So yeah, actually, the first Nothics were, according to D&D lore, were created by Vecna, the Whispered One, and sort of like cursed these like secret, hungry, knowledge-hungry wizards to live a life as this sort of abomination. I like to use them as a DM to sort of like peel back the veneer of my characters. I like to like kind of pick certain secrets that they have that like maybe reveal a little bit more about them to the party than they want to know, and then just kind of like use those secrets as a weapon against them, like whispering them and echoing them off the cavern walls as they approach and can't find the monster as it hides. But yeah, horrifying, nasty little thing. When it kills you with its eye rotting thing, it usually just eats the rotting flesh left behind and saves the bones for later to make like jewelry or necklaces out of. It's a creepy little collector.
Instead, I took its eye and I made it into one of the little eyes in my jar of looking eyes.
Yep, that's where Holly's obsession with eyes came from.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that was our number 10. Intellect Devourer or Nothic? Which do you think is scarier?
Which is scarier?
Yeah, what do you think?
I feel like, and not just because I'm biased about both creatures.
Right. They both have done pretty nasty things to you in the past.
I feel like I like the Intellect Devourer more.
Oh, me too. Absolutely.
Because it's just more like it kind of does the same thing, but it can hide in plain sight inside of your friends.
Right, exactly. That's the thing. Is it like imagine you're like on watch and you're trying to keep it hidden, and the thing gets the drop on a teammate and just knocks them out.
Mm-hmm.
Hides inside their skull. You all wake up, think nothing of it.
Yeah, because he's acting exactly the same.
Yeah, it knows all their memories. It knows all their secrets. It knows all their truths. It's kind of like the Nothic, but like worse because it's more wind up to succeed, but once it knows everything, it also can first of all, once it knows everything, you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
And second of all, it can continue to use that against your friends and loved ones.
Mm-hmm. So the winner out of those two, I'm pretty sure, is the
Intellect Devourer for sure. That thing is nasty. Plus, like a brain with like lion paws running at you full speed, screaming. That's fucking horrifying.
Cat-sized.
That's awful. It's a cat-sized brain. That's fucking weird.
Okay. So now number 9.
You're number 9. Go right ahead.
For number 9, I picked the Annis Hag.
The Annis Hag. Oh, that nasty thing.
The Annis Hag is a large, chaotic, evil fae. Let's see. It's usually just called the Annis, but sometimes specified as the Annis Hag because it is one.
Right.
But it's the most dreaded kind because it is both fae and giant.
Oh yeah, Annis Hags are huge. Not like D&D huge, but they're big.
They eat children, and they're not only just giant lumbering rotting muscle. They're also really fucking intelligent.
Oh yeah.
They defy the stereotype of the withered crone. They're very muscular, but their builds can be varied, and they also really like to not body morph. They like to what is it called? Where they take parts of their body off and put other people's parts on their body.
Oh God, I don't know what the term for that is.
It's in here somewhere.
Oh, that's really gross. I actually didn't know they did that.
Yeah.
That's awful.
Yeah, they have jutting bones coming out of their bodies. They're hunchbacked, gray skinned, warded, nasty. They're 325 pounds.
Oh yeah, okay.
They
a little bit hulking.
Oh yeah, their skin is the hue of a blue-black complexion, like a deep bruise, but everywhere. Their nails are sharp as blades and actually made out of iron.
Oh God! Wait, that's weird. A fae with iron nails?
Yeah.
Huh. That's got to be like a tortured existence for them. I usually fae are like allergic to
It's
iron.
probably the ogre.
Oh, because they're like part ogre?
Yeah.
Ooh, gross.
They grow just like regular keratin nails, but they usually let them grow into spirals, and they like,
Oh,
and since they're
freaky.
iron, they rust, and they'll like smack you with them and like
Oh, so they
cut
have,
holes out of your skin.
yeah, so they have like a tetanus grab.
Yeah,
That's
except they actually
nasty.
like they use the razor sharp like circles that they grow into like cut holes into your skin.
Oh, God.
Um,
That's actually really horrifying.
yeah, right. Normally they grow to be about 3 inches long. Um,
The nails do?
yeah,
Okay. I was like, that doesn't seem very
no, the
threatening.
nails. Um,
They're
the
only
nails are
three
normally a
inches
glossy
tall.
shade of black, but they do oxidize over time, turning the shiny nails into rusted screwdrivers, pretty much.
Ugh.
They also have sharpened teeth that are also made out of metal.
They have metallic teeth. Oh,
Yep,
God.
they have sharpened metallic teeth. Um, what? Oh, they said they have horns that are like the size of human thumbs. Ugh.
Oh. So, like, yeah, those are like kind of little
Yeah, they
ones
got
then.
tiny little horns. Oh yeah, prone to body modification. The Annis Hag were known to deeply scar themselves and use grafts in order to augment their already grotesque features.
Oh, they graft body parts
Um,
onto themselves. Okay.
one was said to have chewed through their cheeks to make them have themselves have a like a gangrenous grin on their face. And other rumors say that one stitched the members of their coven onto their back, trapping their flailing sisters in a semi-conscious state on their back. Normally they wear disheveled peasant clothes, but when they need to, they can use their illusionary abilities because they are still fae to blend into other society roles.
I was going to ask if they had access to
They
magic.
do. They can guise themselves from wizened old women to beautiful Amazons, very tall humans, small giantesses, ogres, and and even animals like bears.
Oh, freaky. And they just run around in disguise and like yeah, and basically like I feel like there's going to be a running theme in this. Anything that can disguise itself as unassuming is fucking horrifying.
Yeah. And they can also grow to be anywhere between 7 and 8 feet tall.
Oh geez, okay, yeah, that's where the ogre comes in.
That's a nasty fucking mix.
Oh god, yeah, that's actually really horrifying. I didn't realize. I kind of like glossed over a lot of the hags because like I thought they were like creepy, but not like really.
Scary?
Yeah, I didn't think they were like
No, these are
scary
terrifying.
to an extent. But like the Annis hag, definitely like I feel like that one like it was that one and like the Bure hag when I was looking at. It. I was like these two like look like they kind of
yeah, like
mean
green hags
business.
are like bleh, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Night hags are like they're just kind of shadowy and
I
creepy.
even looked at like those ice hags, and I'm like, they kind of look spooky
Oh, the
in the
Bure
face,
hags,
yeah,
yeah, with
but
the
like,
big wide grins.
but
Yeah.
other than that, it's like,
It kind of look like a horror movie monster. Like,
yeah, but they're not that
yeah.
bad. Like this one is awful because apparently it also like, well, like because hags are all kind of awful,
Right.
but these ones will like use their strength and cunning to like bully other hags into submission. Like other hags make alliances with each other because
Right,
they're
yeah,
like,
they
this
form
is
covens.
beneficial to all of us.
Yeah.
These ones make other hags work for them because otherwise they'll smash the other hags or maybe like sew them onto their body.
Oh God.
And maybe they still will.
So
depending.
they kind of rule the roost a little bit.
Kinda, yeah.
Creepy.
Yeah, they're said to eat kids. So they're like one of those hags that like you. Sorry, that's Percy running around in the background. It's not a ghost.
Yeah. Oh, we should have kept up the veneer.
Yeah, the veneer that it's a ghost.
It's a ghost.
Yeah, it's the ghost cat that fucking terrorizes my life.
For some reason, he seems to be absolutely terrorizing everything we own right now. He found something, and he's just knocking it around the entire room.
He's just scared of the hags.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Oh, poor baby.
But yeah, these things are giant, disgusting, and also like they get the double benefit of being ogres and fae. So they get metal nails and teeth.
Yeah.
And they also get illusion magic.
Gross. That's actually kind of horrifying.
Yeah, 1 second, let me see. Oh, yeah, they can speak Common, Giant, Sylvan. I was like, they probably could speak like a bunch of different languages, but it's only 3.
Yeah, all the languages that it would make sense for them to know.
Yeah, they live in dark caves and ruins.
Okay.
And they're creepy.
Oh yeah, super creepy. All right, so that's actually a pretty nasty monster. I don't know if my number 9 is going to hold up to it, but we're going to give it a shot.
Okay. Wow,
oh
Percy.
boy, Percy. I mean, the ghost.
I mean, it kind of scared me.
See, that's working. It's in the Halloween spirit. He's decided that he's gone full Halloween mode, and he's gonna just scare the crap out of us today.
Yeah, it must be the full moon because
it's gotta be. The full moon's coming, and he knows.
Well, also because we have the lights off, like where we're recording, and so
for atmosphere.
Yeah, for atmosphere, but also because the light doesn't work, and so Percy's just like taking full advantage, and he's like using everything in here as a fucking jungle gym, and he's like bouncing off walls, smacking shit, jumping on.
It's like you don't get to go outside. Like, well, like you don't get to have fun. Like, what do you?
He spent all day napping.
Oh,
He's got energy.
Oh boy.
Anyway, your number 9.
My number 9. My number 9 creature is a nasty little ooze. I have a couple of oozes on my list, actually.
Oh, really?
I do. Oozes fucking terrify me.
Okay.
They're nasty. Not a lot of them, but like these ones in particular. My number 9 is the Slithering Tracker.
I looked at that one.
Yeah. So the Slithering Tracker is a mostly aquatic, semi-liquid kind of monstrosity. Oozes in D&D are basically just like slimy, it's gonna sound funny, but think like Flubber.
Yeah.
From the classic Disney film. But instead malicious and hungry and horrifying instead of cute and funny. A Slithering Tracker...
Flubber was malicious.
He was a prankster. Not really malicious.
Anyway.
But, so a Slithering Tracker is a ooze-like creature that is mostly aquatic. It has kind of like a thick, watery kind of appearance and kind of takes on the form of an oozing snake. It's mostly aquatic until it latches onto a victim, where it begins leaching the blood from its veins by seeping into its pores, and then pulling the blood out to add the viscous blood of the creature to its membranous form, and it starts to take on a deep crimson red, almost black color as it sort of scales up the upper part of it. The head of it takes on a kind of creepy, ghoulish face. I will have it up on the thing, but it does have a face to it. Supposedly they are created through a ritual where someone who is hungry for vengeance at any cost upon their death will transform themselves into a Slithering Tracker. They use this ooze-like corporeal form to sort of sink into small crevices and underneath cracks and slink around near the victim that they're trying to find and pounce to sort of drain their blood and empty them into this desiccated husk. The unfortunate downside for anyone who undergoes this ritual, Slithering Trackers have a nasty tendency to descend even further into madness once they've achieved their kill. Once a target is slain and their vengeance is sated, they tend to still hunger for the satisfaction of someone's death. Vengeance never really quelling in them. And it doesn't end their quest for vengeance. It just kind of continues it. And so at that point, with no real target and no direction for its vengeance, it kind of just becomes a bloodthirsty killing machine bent on ending the life of anything living that's near it. Sometimes it doesn't happen, but usually once it kills something, it then just hungers for more death and kind of loses control of its consciousness.
I see.
They can track you from almost anywhere. They can ambush you by disguising themselves as a puddle. While they're motionless, they're actually indistinguishable from a puddle of water unless you can glimpse at it really carefully and see the face sort of like reflected back in the water.
Mm-hmm.
When they grab onto someone, you can attempt to knock them off of it, but they will wiggle around and use their victim as a human shield.
Gross.
They also have a nasty ability to, if you have a open wound or orifice on your body, say if they're able to, like if you open your mouth,
Mm-hmm.
they can squeeze through a space as narrow as 1 inch wide with no issue. So they can just like jump up into your mouth and just kind of like climb down your throat and just kind of expand and suck the blood from the inside out until they've basically drained you and then just kind of like crawl out of your ear or some fucked up shit like that.
Okay.
But they're kind of just, they start off as vengeant hunters and stalkers and kind of turn into malicious, bloodthirsty killing machines.
Right.
So yeah, that's that. Oh, right, and the last thing is once they get a hold of you and they start draining your blood, they tend to like squish their face into yours to surround you with water and leave you unable to breathe.
Oh, yay. I love that.
Yeah. So getting one of these things latched onto you is horrifying. It's the worst kind of leech imaginable.
All right,
So
well,
yeah, there's that nasty bug. You guys have never encountered one.
no,
Or
we
you
haven't.
guys, yeah.
Or the Annis Hag. We haven't run into
Right,
either of
that's
those.
also true. I haven't used that one yet.
Which one did we think is creepier? I went first last time, so you tell me which one you think is creepier out of
Of
these
the
two.
two, I don't know. Like they're both pretty creepy. I really think that a lot of the like the super creepy oozes are like the fucking worst.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm almost inclined to say the slithering tracker. But it's kind of a toss up for me. Like I feel like either one is pretty horrifying and pretty deserving of that number 9 slot.
Right. That is hard.
I guess I guess we could say like I'm leaning towards the slithering tracker. I think it's creepier. I think it's like less intimidating when you first see it, but once it gets a hold on you, everyone's immediately panicking.
Yeah.
And you have a very limited window of time to deal with it before it like literally sucks you dry of blood.
Yeah, like I feel like if what's gonna probably bring me down to deciding is what would I panic more fighting in a group?
Yeah.
And, or even alone. I could try and hide from the Annis Hag, but like the slithering tracker always knows where you are.
Yeah, it's like a master tracker. If you're the target of its vengeance, it can and will find you.
Yeah,
and it can sink into the floor.
I'll go the ooze. Like the hag is definitely fucking creepy to me in particular, and I don't really think oozes are that scary, but I feel like that one's scary.
Hell yeah! All right.
Okay, 8.
Number 8. Me or you this time?
I'll go first.
Sure.
What I picked for number 8 was the Bodak.
Oh, I love this one. What an awful thing. Hopefully you are seeing it right now so you can see the horrifying expression
the
on its
nasty
face.
It almost looks like the Scream mask.
Yeah.
But worse.
Ooh.
It's a medium-sized undead creature. They're what's left of a humanoid that's been destroyed by the touch of pure evil, like a Nightwalker.
Mm-hmm.
It's devoid of any of its personality traits from when it was alive. It has no soul. They're cruel, relentless hunters, either of their own volition or at the behest of something that sent it, like the Nightwalker that might have created them.
Right.
They resemble the living form, being roughly the same size and shape, though some describe them as looking sexless and kind of muscular. Doesn't really look muscular in the picture, but still.
Sometimes under the robe, it really depends.
Beyond that, there are a number of differences that are immediately obvious to the eye, like their skin, which is deathly pale white or gray, and they're devoid of all hair. The face is what really gets you, which is twisted into an inhuman visage.
Mm-hmm.
They're possessed by a bunch of different weird abnormal abilities, granted by their undead state. Like, each Bodak has the capacity to use this thing called a death gaze on you. And if you're already weakened, then it can reach you for up to 30 feet, and it'll either knock you unconscious or just actually kill you.
Basically basically calls your soul to the grave.
Pretty much. When you're not killed by it, then they would, some of them have this weird feature. Not all of them do. But sometimes when they use the death gaze on you and you go unconscious but don't die, then it gives you a vision of your own death.
Yeah, like if that's not the thing that's going to kill you, you instead see a vision of when your actual death will happen. And you're forever plagued by the nightmare of that memory.
Mm-hmm. Those killed by its gaze actually usually become Bodaks themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And they project an aura of death around them, injuring and hindering the actions of any creature roughly 25 feet around them.
Are they? I don't know if this is correct or not because I know there's a lot of undead. Are they like one of the ones that's like created by Orcus? Like,
Not that I saw, though.
okay,
I mean, I guess they can be because they said that they're just made with like a ritual or being like killed or touched by something that was pure evil.
yeah, that probably fits.
So I guess like he could make them. They're undead.
Yeah, so probably, but not like specifically like these were created
Yeah,
by
but they're not his.
the demon prince of undeath.
I'm assuming they mentioned the Nightwalker like a bunch in here, so I'm assuming they're
Okay.
more his or
Yeah.
theirs.
Well, then, yeah, the Nightwalker is kind of like it's basically like the Nightwalker is basically D&D's version of like an antimatter being.
Mhm.
They come from a plane of negative energy, which negative energy is literally antimatter. It's opposite life,
Mhm.
and so they're like these big walking shadow abominations that if they touch something, they just instantly remove the life from it and leave behind a creature that is
This
just
thing.
death. Yeah, so that's probably what it is. Like a Nightwalker touches it, and then just like its existence is stripped away, and it's just this like being of pure death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the thing that really like settled it for me was just that face.
Oh yeah, it's got like the fucked up scream mask kind of face to it. Yeah.
Like it didn't say anything about this thing like making weird wails.
Yeah.
But I could only imagine it doing that. Like it's hunched over. It looks like almost like it's got not the Wendigo, but kind of the Wendigo.
Yeah, a little
like
bit.
the body going
yeah,
on.
like the hunched kind of body with like the big,
lanky.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like gray
the kind
and
of
white.
like clawed fingers. Yeah.
With toes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know you guys almost fought one?
No, when did we almost fight one?
You missed it. In the end of our last campaign, when the undead were attacking Highport City,
Yeah.
there was one in the back section of the city that you guys avoided.
Oh.
Yep. You guys went and did other things instead, and most of the townspeople, most of them eventually dealt with it, but like a couple dozen were killed.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it was pretty
Turned
bad.
into Bodaks?
Thankfully no, because a lot of they were priests on hand who were able to turn them, like to prevent them from becoming
Turning into
using clerical holy undead anti-undead shit, but like they were causing a serious problem. Yeah, you guys could have fought one if you went in that direction, but you went a different way instead and fought something else.
Yeah, that's my number 8, Bodak.
That's a nasty one. So my number 8, it's a bit of a classic.
Oh god, okay.
And we've had a conversation about this one.
The Beholder.
Why you gotta spoil it?
Oh, did I get it?
Yeah. Although I'm doing it a little differently.
Okay.
Because we were having a conversation earlier, Hannah and I were, and she was like, "Yeah, like things like the Beholder and like the Mind Flayer, like they're like not
like the real classics."
Yeah, they're kind of not like scary. They're like too obvious,
Well, because I was also looking before we settled on this topic for like some monsters, and I clicked on a few other lists to get a good idea of like what was going on, and like maybe I could get a few different ideas of what's scary. And every single list was like Beholder, Mind Flayer, Gibbering Mouther, Scariest 3.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. So I picked this one, but like I also like as someone who like spends a lot of time in the Forgotten Realms when it comes to D&D planning and like knowing the kind of like almost a little bit comic relief aspects that famous beholders like Xanathar take on from time to time. I kind of shied away from the beholder as like a creepy thing because beholders to me, like regular beholders to me, are like they're kind of a little bit funny, like they're kind of goofy looking,
right? Because they are kind of like spooky, I guess, but like they're not the scariest thing.
No, 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 no. I don't think so. I don't think I would have put them in the top 10 list if it wasn't for these two. There are two variants of the Beholder that I think I would put as like kind of tied
Okay.
for eighth place. Um, there's a bunch of different kinds of beholders. For those of you who don't know a little bit about the beholder, I can tell you a little bit of information about sort of like they're a classic D&D monster, basically like a giant um, mound, floating circular mound of flesh with one large central eye, a deep violet or red uh, iris, and like a centralized dark pupil over a mouth with rows and rows of razor sharp, jagged, bloody teeth. And extending from its fleshy form are several other like flesh stalks in additional eyeballs.
Mm-hmm.
And each of these eyeballs and eye stalks generate a different magical ray. The central eye of the beholder, if it's looking at you, it's a ray of anti-magic. It renders you incapable of casting spells while it's looking at you or within its range of sight. And then each of the other rays on its eye randomly fire out and strike at different targets doing different things. It can charm you with one of its rays, bewitching you. It can slow you down, strike fear into your heart, paralyze your body, telekinetically lift you, petrify you, disintegrate you, put you to sleep, or even rip your soul from your body. Um, it fires those rays out randomly. They're these like nasty creatures that are basically like they're not born, but they're rather sort of manifested into existence from dreams, like the nightmares that kind of exist far beyond the edge of mortal subconscious. Every once in a while those nightmares will kind of coalesce into each other, and a beholder will sort of spawn into existence from this like far realm of chaos and dreams. But those aren't really the scariest types of beholders. There are lesser beholders.
Mm-hmm.
There are baby beholders, which are a little bit cute if they weren't so freaky. Um, but I think number 8 for me would be either the Death Tyrant,
Okay.
which is think beholder but undead.
Okay.
It is just a giant laughing skull. It radiates a cone of, instead of anti-magic, it radiates raw negative energy, which is that same like antimatter energy that's in there. As long as it is staring directly at you, your body is rendered incapable of natural or supernatural healing. In D&D terms, you can't use healing magic to heal your wounds, but in reality, like if it was looking at you, your cells would stop naturally regenerating. Your body would begin immediately the process of cellular decay for as long as it is staring at you. And it slowly withers you and rots you from the inside out. And if it's still looking at you when you die, you are immediately reanimated as a zombie under its mental control.
Okay.
Um, Instead of having eye stalk floating off of it, it just has these sort of like floating will-o'-the-wisp like orbs that hover around it, and it can kind of move them all around like little lights in the darkness, and it can hide behind the surfaces and just kind of like send the eyes out to just kind of float and watch from different points and fire its rays as well. Um, it either would be that or a nasty creature called the Mind Witness. A mind witness is what happens when. So, little bit of background information. Mind flayers, classic D&D monster. Squid head people. They're really smart. They crack open your skull and suck your brain out because they eat brains. That's like their favorite food. They reproduce through these things called tadpoles,
Mm-hmm.
and they place a mind flayer tadpole. It's called ceretomorphosis. They place the tadpoles inside of like in your nose or in your ear, and they crawl up into your brain, and they slowly infect you like a parasite and then eventually turn you into a mind flayer, cracking your physical forms like popping tentacles out of your face.
Mm-hmm.
Mind witness is what happens when you do that to a beholder. They're basically just a giant mound of fleshy, like half-lidded eyes with like brain matter just kind of oozing and seeping off of them, and they mostly just like try to infect you with mind flayer tadpoles and like float around and like trying to basically turn you into their like mental puppets. They're kind of like puppet masters.
Okay, well, to be fair, I think you have to pick one.
Um, that's the thing. I kind of had a hard time with it. I guess if I had to pick one of the two, I would say probably the mind witness is the creepiest of them, just because like the idea of like this like horrifying dream abomination that can fire laser beams at you from like 8 different directions and also wants to infect you and turn you into its mind puppet is like some weird like invasions of the body snatchers level shit that I think I can get behind when it comes to horror. So I guess if I had to pick one beholder variant for 8, it'd be the mind witness.
Okay, so it's the whatever I said before,
The Bodak.
The Bodak or the mind witness.
Of the two, which one do I think is creepier? Realistically speaking, I don't know. I feel like it's the Bodak.
I want to just pick the Bodak because you literally picked the Mind Flayer and the Beholder at once.
Well, not really.
Yeah, kinda.
It's technically it's just the Beholder that's infected by a Mind Flayer tadpole.
Yeah, but that's how you make Mind Flayers.
It's kind of it's kind of like a hybrid. Yeah, well, you picked an ogre hag. So.
Well, yeah, but we didn't say ogres or hags were off limits. Because they're not classic scary.
Oh, right. That was just you said that you didn't want to pick Mind Flayer.
Or the fucking Beholder.
I found a way to put Mind Flayer and Beholder on the list.
Because you put them into one creature and you picked it.
It was genius, really. It was my master plan all along. Yep. Number 8. But yeah, I think like genuinely speaking, I still can't get over the fact that like beholders are still kind of goofy and funny to me. I think the Bodak is just generally creepier. It makes more sense.
Yeah, no, the other the mind witness.
Mind witness.
It's definitely gross, but I feel
we'll put up a picture of it. You guys can let me know how you think it's like horrifying and like Hannah's totally wrong.
Yeah, how we should have definitely picked the other one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just like let's flame her in the comments. Like sounds good.
But Bodak wins.
Yeah, no, I think the Bodak wins. Yeah, objectively I'm wrong, but also like definitely flame her in the comments.
Sure.
Okay. Number 7 then.
What flamers in the comments? Okay. The one I picked. For number 7.
Yep.
Is the Hungry.
Oh, one of the yeah, okay. Yeah, I know the Hungry.
Yeah, I wanted to pick all of them.
I had them all on my list too at one point, but I ended up taking them off. Yeah, they're
But I kept the Hungry because it's something about the mouths. Just gross. I hate it. This one is a medium level evil monstrosity.
Medium sized meaning like person sized.
Yep. Person sized lawful evil monstrosity. There actually wasn't a lot of information on these ones. Like I had to actually go get the Mordenkainen's.
Yeah, they're relatively new creatures, I think.
So I just put the little blurb from Mordenkainen's in there.
Oh, sure.
They're horrid beasts with grasping claws and yawning mouths. The Hungry do whatever is necessary to sate their appetites. These greedy devourers consume all life energy they encounter, stuffing their maws with flesh and drinking in victims' screams. When they finish, they lurch away with their eyes bright, resuming the search for something else to consume. These things literally look like a Wendigo, but with like a jaw open like a fucking snake, like unhinged jaw, like skeleton face, like it's disgusting. They have like these huge webbed claws.
Aren't they called they're all called like the Sorrow Sworn or something?
Yeah, they're the Sorrow Sworn. There's like the Hungry, the Lonely, the
like
Angry.
Personifications of like either emotions or like needs or something like that. Like just hunger.
Yeah.
This creature is just the metaphysical embodiment of hunger taken to its extreme.
If it comes across anything living, it just tears you to shreds and eats you, and then goes on to find something else.
Yeah, it's fucked up. You know what? All these, like this one in particular, but also like just the whole group of them. Have you ever played Dead Space?
I've seen Dead Space and
Yeah.
like watched all the games
Yeah.
and stuff.
They remind me of like some of the aliens from Dead Space. They're like these nasty, kind of like fleshy, lanky abominations with like strange, like hanging limbs and odd forms that just kind of like crawl around, and then like when they get too close to you, they just fucking go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully you're looking at it right now, but it's just gross.
Yeah, oh, they're absolutely disgusting, and I'm pretty sure one could like eat a whole, but just jump on you and just fucking swallow you whole.
Oh yeah, like half of you probably at once.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm sure it wants to savor 2 bites. I'm sure it just chomps you from the torso.
You're a chicken nugget.
Yeah, chicken nuggets. 2 bites or 3 bites, either way, it's all good.
Yeah, depending on the size of the chicken nugget.
That's a good point. God, that's fucked up.
Yeah. Ugh. Anyway. Yeah,
So,
I wish there was more I could tell you about this thing.
Yeah, they're relatively new creatures. Okay, so number 7 for me. I picked a sort of spectral, ghastly undead creature called the Alep.
The Alep?
The Alep. Here is an Alep. I am showing Hannah. Hopefully you're seeing it on the screen.
Okay.
When a mind uncovers a secret that a powerful being has protected with a mighty curse, the result is often the emergence of an Alep. Secrets protected in this manner range in scope from a hidden truth of the cosmic order to the true name of a demon prince. The Alep acquires the secret in its human form, but the curse annihilates its body and leaves behind a spectral creature composed of fragments from the victim's psyche and overwhelming psychic agony. This is an undead specter that is made when a soul leaves a body because of a curse on knowledge so ancient and so profane that simply knowing the fact basically breaks your mind and like sends you into psychic agony.
Jeez.
Every single Alep is constantly tormented and racked with a horrifying insect that torments what remains of its mind. In the presence of other creatures, it seeks to relieve this burden by sharing its secret with others. It does so in the form of floating straight through solid objects like an incorporeal ghost, and either babbling and howling at the top of its lungs to share some broken, misguided, imperceivable version of the secret it learned, which can not only shatter your mind but also stun you. It like the babbling will just kind of leave you drooling and blood dripping from your nose and ears as your mind can barely handle the sort of like sonic cacophony that it's leaving behind. And it can also whisper directly at you. These whispers drive you insane and cause you to see any living thing near you as some sort of monstrosity that is threatening to kill you. It digs into like the fear response of your brain, and it can cause you to lash out and attack anyone nearby, including friends, family, and loved ones who happen to be near you. And also, if it touches you, it physically passes through your form in this sort of like gray, ghostly sort of visage, and will actually grab onto like the neural pathways of your mind and just kind of like rake at them, leaving behind whispering thoughts and slowly driving you insane. Basically, think like a really creepy ghost, but instead of like haunting you and scaring you, it just kind of like screams and whispers and lulls you into insanity.
So these two are really like the opposites of each other. One's very physical, the other one's very mental.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Also it doesn't mention it so much in the 5th edition version of the game, but in previous editions, a Alep was often thought to, now it's the result of a curse. It was often thought to be an undead that was left behind when someone who uncovered a terrible mind-shattering secret, when the secret was so overbearing that they ended their own life.
Oh.
Usually it was a creature that was born of like madness that drove someone to suicide. But that lore is kind of changed as the creature is sort of shifted, and like, you know, mental health in general has become more of like a thing.
A less flippant thing to just reference.
Yeah, it's become like something that people shine spotlights on more, and like, yeah, are a little less like free form with, and so that lore has kind of changed. But
And while that could still be a good thing to keep in like the creature's background, it's better to like feel your party out and decide if that's
right.
a good thing to put in its background.
Exactly, but that is something that kind of is like the base point of it is like the creature is driven mad by some sort of horrible secret that causes it to like literally die and become an insane ghost.
All right.
So of the two, which do we think is scarier?
The hunger or the Alep?
The Alep, yeah. I mean, I have a theory. I think I know it. I personally, I would be more horrified of the Alep.
Really?
I would. Yeah.
I'd be more scared of the hunger.
I think that's why we picked it that way.
I think so. Yeah. But it's also just because like I don't know. Maybe it's just because I don't think there's too many things you could tell me that would be mind shattering. It's like they're like, I figured out like this really fucked up shit, and I'd be like, yeah, typical. Like,
well, see, I'm thinking of it like eldritch horror shit.
Maybe.
I'm thinking this thing is like this thing discovered like the true name of Cthulhu, and it's like whispering in some like eldritch deep language into your ear, and you're just like fucking like listening to it, and your eyes are going in two different directions, and blood's pouring out of your nose. Like,
I'm just thinking
it's not
about
like
being chased by both.
I mean, the Alep can go through walls.
Well, I know, but like it's like it's a big puff of smoke that's like trying to mentally torture me, which isn't fun. I'm not saying that it's not scary.
Sure.
Or like this big fucking Left 4 Dead piece of shit that's like, I gotta eat ya!
No, you're right.
It's like, oh my god!
I think it's because of that I feel a little less horrified by the hunger, because I just see it's got like a big mouth, so I just see this like running after you, and like the big mouth's kind of flopping, and it's just like, hey, buddy.
That's terrifying.
See,
to me.
it's kind of goofy to me. I don't know. It's still awful, but like I think there's a little bit of humor to it. Like if I saw it in a movie, I'd be like, "That's kind of fucking weird."
Okay.
But like the Alep's just horrifying. I think that one ends up being a tie. I don't think we really.
Well, I was gonna say, since we can't pick, I'm gonna have to implement boulder parchment shears to figure out which one wins.
Oh my god, we're gonna rock paper scissors.
Yeah, if we can't agree, we're gonna rock paper scissors, and then just deal with whoever wins.
You heard it here, folks.
Best two out of three, or just one?
Best two out. It's gotta be best two out of three.
Okay, ready? It's gonna be scissors.
Okay, so we tied.
Tied. I won one.
Yeah, all right.
The hunger wins.
I guess the hunger wins by rousing
boulder parchment shears.
Yep. I guess.
It's for more.
There was no other way we were going to resolve that. Yeah.
I feel that's how we're going to have to. If we come into more ties, it's just how we're going to have to win them.
Works for me.
Because for more or less purposes, it's a tie. You guys can decide which one you think is scariest. But for technical purposes, just to have a winner, hunger wins.
The hunger wins.
Because of boulder parchment shears.
Let us know in the comments.
Which one you think is scary.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so now number 6. Go right ahead if you'd like.
Okie dokie. My number 6 is actually the Nightwalker.
Oh, there we go. We're starting a trend.
Well, because of course I picked the Bodak, and so then I was like, what is this Nightwalker thing?
Yeah, what's this?
And I saw it, and it has this picture. I'm hoping you guys are looking at this. It's like this little guy right next to him. And I was like, holy fuck! Like, that thing's huge!
Oh yeah, it's a big boy.
It is a huge undead. It's a type of shade.
Yes.
It's a sentient undead monster from the plane of shadows. It was an unnatural and malicious creature, and it takes delight in the corruption and suffering of others. It's a creature of both death and shadow, and has enormous powers over darkness. Nightwalkers were the shades of extremely strong-willed and evil mortals whose ancient and unyielding will and malice allowed them to hold their corporeal shape. A Nightwalker's body looked as if it were made of shadow stuff, with a vaguely humanoid form. This one in particular that I'm looking at is like a big shadow guy, but he's got like ram legs, like from the knee down, like big like sharp claws, and then he's got like almost kind of like a ram head with like these big horns coming off him, and he's like shadow wisping.
Yeah, he almost looks like he like reminds me a little bit of like you ever for those of you who have seen anything by Crypt TV, he has like a little bit of a birch kind of look to him.
Kind of, a little bit.
Yeah.
They were said to be about the size of a house, but are usually no taller than 20 feet. Their
No
bodies,
taller.
yeah, no taller than 20 feet, but the size of
Only
a house.
20 feet.
Well, I mean, God forbid, 20 fucking feet. Their bodies were smooth and hairless. Nightwalkers are capable of transforming humans that they kill into Bodaks, through the use of arcane rituals, and they warp the void's energies in the Shadowfell. This ritual would not work in any other plane, though, so they have to bring you there to do it.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. And also for those of you who are having trouble visualizing the Shadowfell, think the Upside Down from Stranger Things.
Yeah, it's just like our world, but everything's dark.
Yeah, it's like the anti-version of our world.
But yeah, that's him. He's got like these creepy glowing blue eyes. He like seeps mist.
Yeah. And also they have a negative energy flood feature where like simply being in close proximity or coming into contact with them will literally cause like your life essence to be replaced with its opposite. Like your life becomes death. If you like touch it with your hand just withers and turns to not like.
That's what I'm assuming he's doing to this guy down here.
Yeah, basically he's coming into close contact with it, so the man's like slowly like withering and draining away as it literally like it's like a sponge for life essence. Anything living.
Also, all the
and
grass
breathing.
like around his feet is like turning black.
Oh yeah. They're just a walking blight. They suck the
life out of everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Horrifying thing. Terrible to see. One of the scariest.
Because imagine that's like
one of the nastiest. Maybe not scariest necessarily, but one of the nastiest monsters to fight in D&D.
Well, because
touching them is impossible.
I was thinking about like walking while I was reading this list, I'd imagine like looking out my window and seeing one to see how scary I really thought it was.
Yeah, it's got like a siren head kind of feel to
it.
Yeah,
that's what I was literally gonna say. Yeah. Like you're literally looking out into the woods and it's as big as a fucking house. It's just standing out there like fucking making a big shadow cloud, and it's like,
yeah,
like you're just like, oh my god.
Yeah, like what the fuck is that? Okay, so now for my number 6.
Okay.
I've decided to troll you even further.
Okay.
My number 6 is a nasty little beastie.
It's a beholder mind flayer.
No, it's the third one. It's a gibbering mouther.
Oh, come
on. These are actually so fucking nasty, and I don't think you're giving them enough credit. Little blurb about them. Hopefully you're seeing it right now, so you can kind of get a sense of what the fuck is going on with this.
I'm just gonna put a wad of gum on the screen.
Pretty much. Draw little teepees on it.
Yeah.
Of all the terrors created by foul sorcery, gibbering mouthers are among the most wicked and depraved. This creature is the composite of the eyes, mouths, and liquefied flesh of its former victims. Driven to insanity by the destruction of their bodies and absorption into the mouther, those victims gibber incoherent madness, forced to consume everything in reach. Essentially, it is a giant amoeba-like creature that babbles incoherently, and if you hear the babbling, you become confused, you're disoriented, left becomes right, up becomes down, you start getting vertigo and feeling dizzy, and it's hard for you to be able to understand what's going on. That's if you're anywhere within 20 feet of it and can hear it chattering, you start to like literally lose your sense of direction and like balance. It also makes all of the ground within a 10-foot radius of it. It liquefies the stone that it comes into contact with and makes it so that the ground kind of like goops into this like waving kind of mud, and it's hard to walk over it. Your feet like slosh into this version of solid stone. And it's hard to run away from it. Once it gets close to you, it's basically already got you where it wants you. When you're within 20 feet of it, you're already fucked. It's hard to run away, and it's literally driving you insane with its chattering. from a reasonable distance, about 15 feet away, it can spit a chemical glob that explodes in a blinding flash of light that is kind of like a flashbang grenade.
Great.
And it will attempt to get close to you and then use its many large razor-sharp mouths all over its body, randomly dispersed, to chomp into you and kind of grind you down into flesh and meat, which it will then add to its physical mass, which turns into this massive, like, grinding ooze of flesh, teeth, and eyes. And your consciousness, though now driven insane by its chattering, kind of joins with it, and it becomes this conglomerate hive mind of, like, the screaming agony of every victim it's ever had. It's fucking horrifying.
Yeah.
And as much as it's like everyone has it on their list, it's for a good reason. It's a nasty fucking monster.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
So, between the Gibbering Mouther and the Nightwalker, which do we think is the creepiest? Which do we think is deserving of the coveted number 6 slot?
I don't know. They're both kind of gross. I think mine's scarier. I think yours is creepier.
Sure, I think that's fair.
Um,
Mine's more disturbing. Yours is like more of like a nightmare.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, which way would I rather go? Just either being turned into a nightmare creature, absolutely having the like life force like just stripped out of me so I'm already dead, or like being driven mad for all of eternity until something finally can kill me.
Yeah. Which horrible life event would you prefer to have happen to you?
What does that mean? It wins or it loses if I pick it?
I mean, if one of them is one you would more want to happen, then it's probably less horrifying.
Mm.
So then it would probably lose.
Both scary.
They're both pretty bad.
You're gonna pick the Gibbering Mouther though, aren't you?
Of course I am. I didn't put the Nightwalker on my list.
Well,
So.
yeah, but that doesn't mean you can't vote for it. Like I voted for your creatures before.
That's
and
true.
Voted for mine.
But it basically means like I kind of already looked at the Nightwalker and I kind of already decided it's not on my top 10.
I don't know. This one might have to be another rock paper scissors just because.
Okay.
Okay.
Best 2 out of 3.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
You got
I
one.
won one with rock. I won one with scissors.
I guess it's the fucking Nightwalker. I still feel like this. We never said this was a democracy. It's fine. I still feel like this may be bullshit, but nonetheless, the winner is the Nightwalker.
Well, that's when I put up the ones that of the result of the rock paper scissors. I'll make sure I put it up there with a question mark, so you guys can decide which one you.
Yeah. I want to let the comments decide whether our rock paper scissors.
It's kind of a joke. I want to have a winner so I can put up a picture of who wins.
Right.
But also like, it's not solid. It's a tie.
Yeah, that's fair.
You guys can decide and tell us who you think is scarier.
All right. Now we move on to number 5.
Number 5.
Number 5 slot.
I picked the dragon turtle.
The dragon turtle?
Yeah.
That's a very you choice. That's a very you choice. Hannah hates sea creatures, especially big ones. Especially big ones that could be under you when you're in deep water.
Especially big ones that can be under you in deep water that can come out of fucking nowhere. Mm-hmm. Because the sea is eternal. So they can just show up. They're the size of 50 buses. And they can just fucking show up. Like it wasn't there a second ago and here the fuck it is. Like, because guess where he was? Just chilling, I guess, wherever the hell in the ocean. Like...
Oh boy.
He's a gargantuan dragon.
Yeah, gargantuan meaning like this thing is like when she says 50 buses, she's not really wrong. That's like it's one of the biggest fucking things in existence.
Yeah, average weight is 8,000 to 32,000 pounds.
Yep.
The dragon turtles are aquatic creatures that are related to dragons. They're considered among the most dangerous aquatic creatures in existence, and were even worshipped by some. Dragon turtles were distantly related to dragons and have dragon blood. They appear as huge turtle-like creatures with long tails and necks and taloned flippers. Their heads have a golden crest down the center. Who cares? It's terrifying. The shell of the dragon turtle measures between 15 and 25 feet, I guess. Sounds kind of small to me. It's strong enough to leave it almost. It's sorry, I'm scared. um,
This is real fear, ladies and
gentlemen. It's impossible to harm the shell, apparently. They're streamlined with jagged protrusions, and often the shell is a shade of deep green, similar to the color of the ocean. So you can't actually fucking even see it coming, because it's got silver highlights running along all the raised areas. So even if you see it off of your boat, it's often mistaken as the light reflecting off the water.
That's fucked up.
Due to its immense strength, shields are usually made from the dragon turtle's shell, and they're exceptionally tough and resistant to heat and steam. They're valued to be made into a bunch of shit that doesn't matter. Dragon turtles.
If you can kill one.
Yeah, if you can fucking even get one. Dragon turtles are aggressive and solitary creatures who would attack any ships and any other dragon turtles that enter their territory. Like true dragons, dragon turtles are obsessed with gold and treasure. They often attack ships just to flip them and take the loot. After shifting through the wreckage, the creatures would carry anything that they can find back in their mouth. Sailors wishing to pass through the territory have kind of wisened up and figured out they're intellectual enough to accept bribes and tributes. Sometimes turtle dragons could even be bribed to fight for you, notably working with Sahagan raiders or powerful Marids.
Yeah, like water genies.
Whatever.
Anna hates the water.
Some dragon turtles could even master the powers of sorcery. So better yet, it can fucking do magic.
They're mages. They can call lightning and change the weather.
Dragon turtles.
That's really good for boats.
That are sorcerers are rumored to guard caverns in the Undermountain. When in combat, dragon turtles will use their massive bulk to slam into enemy ships. Dragon turtles will capsize even the largest of vessels, and they can expel blasts of scalding steam from their mouth. Like, there's pictures of him next to a fucking great white.
Yeah, and the great white is like fucking tiny.
Yeah, it's like a fucking little
baby.
I hate it. This thing's awful.
Hannah really does not like aquatic creatures, big aquatic creatures especially. Whales are her least favorite thing in existence, and a dragon turtle is just kind of like a dragon whale thing that breathes like fire, basically.
And wants to actually ram your ship until you are in the ocean with it.
Yeah, they're horrifying, absolutely.
Yes.
I wouldn't call them like creepy or spooky.
Terrifying.
They're terrifying. Yeah, I agree.
They're not scary. They're fucking nightmares.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but I don't have as much water fear as you.
I feel another rock, paper, scissors coming up.
I think we might have to rock, paper, scissors. But my number 5, I might be inclined to pick yours just because my number 5 is
the dragon turtle.
No, it's one we've already talked about.
Okay.
My number 5 is actually the intellect devourer.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, I put it way higher up on the list. I think that I was gonna put it like pretty much where you had it until I started thinking a little bit more about the fact that it can just be inside of your friends' heads for basically indefinitely until if you see one ever and you know that one is present around you, there could be more. You just literally can never trust anyone ever again.
Yeah.
Like they could just be hiding inside of the minds of your friends or family or loved ones forever. Seeing one is basically a permanent curse for anyone with the smallest bit of anxiety. And once I started thinking about that, I'm like, okay, these things are fucked up.
Yeah.
And that's the things, like you invite somebody into your home and it's like, oh, are we alone? Boop, you're done. You're in a coma. You're fucking dead. That's it.
Right.
It's over.
Yeah.
Like all you have to do is let your guard down for 5 seconds and they end you. They're horrifying, and I put them very high up the list because of that. Yeah.
They are really scary.
Yeah. But that being said, I think we'll skip the rock, paper, scissors on this one. I'm gonna say the dragon turtle, just because I know that like an intellect devourer, like at the very least, if I catch it by surprise, it's small enough that I can fucking punt it.
Yeah.
But if I see a dragon turtle in the ocean, I'm gonna be at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
There's no way we're getting around that. Yeah, that thing is massive and horrifying. I think I'm gonna have to give it to the dragon turtle on this one. I don't necessarily think it's all that creepy, but I definitely
So
think
scary.
I wouldn't want to see it.
Like spoilers for anyone that watches Critical Role, plug your ears for like
I'll plug
the duration
my ears.
of Happy Birthday.
I'll plug my ears. No, it's fine.
I already told you this.
Yeah, I know about this.
Yeah, start singing Happy Birthday. 3, 2, 1. Okay. In Critical Role, a dragon turtle shows up and starts chasing their ship. And I told you this when it was happening.
Yeah.
Because he was next to me while I was watching it. And I kept screaming.
Yeah.
Like, I would like, they were like talking about how it was coming onto the ship and like when it was like banging into the side. And it was like a fucking horror movie. I was screaming.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? And I'm like, I can't tell you. And then eventually I just had to tell him because I was like...
Because I'm like 70 episodes behind her.
Yeah, so he's like, what's happening? And I'm like, I will tell you, but like, it was a spoiler.
That's so crazy. Yeah, I'm interested to see if any of these other ones show up in any D&D live plays.
Yeah, I'm surprised that we picked one of the same ones and that they're so differently ranked.
Oh, yeah. I had intellect powers way higher. I use those things like so often. They show up in a bunch of campaigns because I think they're fucking horrifying. Anyway, we can move on to our number 4 now. We're at number 4 already.
Oh,
Mine's a bit of an obscure one, but
this is the one I couldn't find a picture for, and I picked a picture, and I don't really like it.
Okay.
It's a Leviathan.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Let's get
the Leviathan.
It says the Leviathan, but also it's from 1st edition.
Yes. Yeah.
It doesn't have one from 5th edition.
Yeah.
It's nicknamed the Old One, and its home is the Sea of Swords.
Oh, so like it lives off the coast of where your characters do. Yeah.
The Moonshays.
Yeah, it lives off the coast of where your characters. Yeah, because that was where like a lot of the early lore for like the Moonshay Isles was. That's got to be that's the Leviathan that happens during like it like swims around during the stormy seasons.
Yes.
And fucking causes all sorts of mischief.
Race is whale. So that
it's a whale.
Oh yeah,
it's a giant whale. It's a it's a world-eating whale.
It says that it was killed in 1345 DR, but also it says in the description that it never dies. So, yeah, look at the picture I picked for it. That's the only one I could find of it, and it's like a...
Oh, yeah, that's a fucking...
It's like a creator rendition of it or something.
Killed by Khazgaroth. That's interesting. I didn't know about that little lore bit.
The Leviathan is a huge whale and child proxy of the Earth Mother in the Moonshay Isles. A great black-skin whale, the Leviathan is larger than any whale naturally found on Toril. Like, at all. Like, the whole world. The biggest whale ever. 360 feet long. Its tail was 60 feet long. Or 60 feet wide. And the creature had a mouth full of razor-sharp teeth.
Oh, yeah.
The Leviathan was mortal and could grow old and die like any other natural creature, though it was immortal in a sense that its spirit would always be reborn in time after it died. The behemoth slumbered for centuries until awakened by the goddess in 1345 DR. It was killed by several poisonous poles attached to a ship in which Khazgaroth disguised as Thelgar, Iron Hand.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is.
Khazgaroth is the weird T-Rex nature spirit monster that runs around. And
okay.
It sometimes takes human form and does things.
Okay.
They were turf warring.
All right.
Yeah.
He led an army of northerners against the folk of the 7 Moonshay Isles and killed it.
Jeez. So like, I mean, like this whale, when we're talking like big, this thing is like colossal.
Yes.
This thing is like, like
huge.
the size of a large island.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, it's fucked.
Yeah, it's fucking huge and terrifying.
So basically, like, it's scary for all the same reasons as the dragon turtle, but just it's like 10 times larger.
Yeah, which and near the home of a lot of my D&D characters.
Right.
So terrifying.
So it's something. So what's maybe more terrifying about it is the fact that theoretically, I could kind of use it against you like
Yeah.
at any time,
Yeah.
and it would make so much sense.
And also,
Good to know.
my fear of the ocean and oceanic creatures has been imprinted into both Holly and Ivy.
Yeah.
So it just makes it all the worse. It's like it's literally the size of like some of the islands in the Moonshade combined,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got a fucking mouth of razor sharp teeth. It's like this giant obsidian whale that brings in the stormy season and just destroys whatever the fuck it wants.
Oh yeah, it's nasty. It's like an abomination of nature.
Yeah. I want to lay
So
claim
nasty.
that my clan killed it because it said Northerners killed it. And
Could have been.
I want that in my.
It's 100
I
some
want it
years
to be
ago.
dead. But then again, they said it always comes back.
It'll come back.
So
It always comes
I
back.
hate it.
Oh yeah.
It's so scary.
It's so scary. I don't like it. All right, so hard one to beat for number 4. My number 4 is a creature that has existed since earlier D&D.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit grotesque, and I'm
Earlier D&D than first edition.
No, like first and second edition.
Okay.
Probably second edition. I don't know if this was around in first edition, but I think it was around in second edition. It was
Sorry, I
definitely
thought you were
around
saying
third
in
edition.
comparison to the Leviathan.
Oh no! It's not like an OG monster from like the original books. It's like it's around like probably second, maybe it was introduced in third.
Okay.
I will probably, as I am describing this creature, I will definitely want to issue a content warning because it could be a little bit disturbing for people.
Okay, trigger warning.
Yeah, so just like content warning for anybody who has a problem with like, I'm going to nest the content as much as I can, but like anyone who has a problem with like undead babies or fetal creatures
Okay.
or like just don't listen to this part. Mine is a undead monstrosity, a titan known as the Atropal.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
This is your number 3?
It's my number 4.
4?
Yeah, we're on 4.
That's only 4 for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty horrifying, but like,
okay.
Yeah, it doesn't move very fast.
That doesn't matter.
The Atropal is a ghastly, unfinished fetus never carried to term of an evil god.
Mm-hmm.
Some sort of like godly infant or child that essentially never makes it to full creation and is cast adrift and abandoned, soaking up the natural necrotic energies of whatever realms it sails through and becoming a sort of bloated necrotic husk of a fetal corpse. It is the antithesis of life and was never truly alive, cannot be raised from the dead or resurrected by any means, even so far as divine intervention. Not even the gods can restore life to this lifeless thing. It is a malformed and unfinished creature, an umbilical cord of necrotic rot still like oozing out from the tip of its malformed, worm-ridden head. It is unfinished in terms of creation, parts of its limbs and its body not fully together. It is wet, wrinkled, and bloated, surmounted by a hairless, overlarge head set with glassy, vacant eyes. It constantly drools a stinking ichor as it mouths obscenities and curses at you. Its arms are too slender for its body, with tiny hands ending in cruelly shaped nails. It never walks, but it always floats with atrophied dead legs hanging useless below it. There's a good picture of it.
Mm-hmm.
That nasty fucking abomination. Literally being within 30 feet of it, it renders you incapable of physically healing. Your body starts to rot and decay within its presence, and healing magic does not work on you. Your wounds stay open, no matter what you do to them. Anyone who starts near it feels a spark of like every couple of seconds, if you're near it, a spark of necrotic energy jolts out from its form and literally sucks the life essence from you, like it's trying to drink in life from you that it will never gain. It is basically resistant and almost immune to most magic and the holy turning resistance of clerics. Even like exorcisms or kinds of things that would like banish undead don't seem to affect it at all. If it physically touches you, it sucks the life essence out of you. When it breathes, it's this stinking mass that can concentrate into a ray of basically frigid cold that can freeze you solid.
Like baby's what?
Like baby's breath.
No, I said like your farts.
Oh,
sorry.
Okay, wow, yeah. Fucking
put you on blast.
Put me on blast on the timeline. Cold, really? I don't know about. Anyway, we'll fucking cross that bridge when we get there. It can literally seep the life from you. It drinks life essence from you and uses that to heal its bloated corporeal form, never fully restoring itself. And it has the ability to literally, just by unconscious screaming, it will wail and cry like a gravelly voiced infant, and it will call like wraiths and undead spirits into existence, the souls of the departed that haven't quite yet kind of got trapped up in its orbit of ghastly death, and it will just kind of pull them and manifest them under its control. Also, anyone who hears its mournful wail while it's screaming and crying, if they're unable to resist the effects of it, it will slowly exhaust them. It will, indeed, in terms of giving you levels of exhaustion, and it will slowly like tire you out and drain like the strength from your muscles and limbs until eventually you just collapse from exhaustion and die. All of this is horrifying and makes it nasty to be anywhere near, especially considering its physical form. But what's made worse is the fact that it's fucking 35 feet tall. It's gigantic. It's like a fucking house. It's a house-sized rotting baby. It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's like a house-sized rotting Titan god fetus thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's why it's number 4 for me, because the other 3 are fucking worse than that.
It's kind of sad.
It really is. It's horrible. It's basically like what happens when like a god baby doesn't survive, and it just kind of like floats as this like undead desiccated
in space. Don't they like live in space?
Yeah, they typically, like, if they don't float in the astral plane, then they're literally in like space. They like float among the stars and just kind of like suck life from anything that they float near.
Yours wins.
Yeah, mine's fucking horrifying. Yeah, no.
As much as mine is horrifying to me,
yeah.
like spoiler warning, that's on my list in the future.
Oh, the Atropol is? Wow.
Which is why when you said that it was your 4, I'm like, it's only 4 for you?
Fucking awful.
That thing's terrifying and awful. Like, I'm going with yours.
Yeah. I see, when it comes to like things that horrify me, I'm definitely more of like a nightmare fuel kind of, like, that thing's horrifying, but it's very like simplistic. It's like, don't get too close to it and it won't kill you.
Right.
So like that for me isn't as scary as like if I was in a horror movie, the other 3 things on my list are like something I wouldn't be able to escape from, and that horrifies me. Whereas this thing is like, if I see it, I just go the opposite direction until I can't see it anymore, and then everything's okay, I guess.
That's like, if I came face to face with that, I'd never be able to recover.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Like, that's why I put it further up on my list.
Sure.
It's just, it's awful.
It's horrible. Yeah, it's a nasty monster. Okay, so Atropol definitely wins there. That's a beast of one. Let's go to. Well, actually, before we get to our top 3, before we get to our bronze, silver, and gold medal of awful,
we're doing our mentions.
Let's talk about some honorable mentions. We're not going to talk too much about these ones since we only have a limited window of time, but we're just going to like talk about some ones that like we thought maybe they could hit the list, but weren't quite there to get into the top 10. So you give one, I'll give one. We'll go back and forth about it.
I'm going to do 2 at a time, just because you have less than me. We discussed how many we had.
I actually found I made 7.
Okay.
7, yeah.
My first one was Froghemoth.
The Froghemoth. I think they're cute.
Well, that's why he's kind of spooky.
Yeah.
Like, and it's mainly because he does live in water.
Right.
They hide in water and then they and come out and get you and then they fucking hide.
It's literally exactly what it is. It's a frog behemoth. It's a massive frog.
So like, that would, like, literally, if that thing jumped at me, I would die before it even got me.
Yeah.
Like, it would give me a heart attack.
You know that thing is worshipped by bullywugs, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I know, because I read about it, and they said that, like, if bullywugs find it, they, like, try to, like, lure it into their house, and they're like, come on, we're gonna take care of you.
Yeah.
They think he's, like, a god, so they're like, come on, we're gonna
Yeah.
help you, and he, like, eats a bunch of them before he understands what they're doing. But
Right.
they're just like, it's okay, like, he wants them, like, let's just bring him home still,
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
But, so he's kind of, like, creepy, and he was gonna, like, that's the thing, I think he was the first one that I, like, came across where I was like, yeah, that's creepy, but he was also the first one I kicked.
Oh, yeah, that's understandable.
So.
For me, the Mimic.
Uh-huh. The Mimic?
Yeah. Mimic is, I mean, everyone probably knows what a mimic is.
Uh-huh.
A genuinely horrifying little creature. Takes the shape of usually a treasure chest in modern, like, lore, but it usually takes the shape of, like, some sort of household object or, like, ancient artifact of some kind. And is looks just like it. Maybe it's a chair, maybe it's a box, maybe it's a safe. But once you touch it, first of all, it's sticky and you are adhered to it. And second of all, it also has big sharp teeth and like a gooey drippy mouth. And as soon as you touch it, it sticks to you and then tries to bite you.
Yeah, I think I've only run into one of those. Was it only one?
Did you find anything in the last campaign? I don't think so.
No, I think it was just in the Underdark when we found Fargus, who nobody else knows. He's this little
Well, that was
halfling
made
guy.
even more horrifying because you found it like caught in some spider webs, and you were literally walking over a giant bridge made out of spider webs.
Yeah,
and like if
and it was tied up in the bottom, and a few of our party members decided it was a good idea to try and go down and get it, and so then they tried to climb down and get it
against your better wishes.
Yeah. Oh, Ivy was just blaze ahead. Let's get over this fucking pit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care about
I don't want to be here anymore.
I don't care about the one guy that's trapped by a spider, and I don't care about the one chest that's trapped by a spider above this giant pit of probably 1 million spiders, or at least certain death.
Right.
So let's just keep going. And Noir wanted to get the dude, or I think Blair and Noir and Arya all wanted to get the dude. These are our characters, by the way, if you haven't listened to previous ones.
Arya didn't. Kylie did. Kylie wanted to get it.
No, Kylie wanted the chest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Arya wanted to get wanted to rescue Fargus. Yeah.
So they got Fargus, and then they were trying to get out, and then Kylie was like, well, let's get the chest, too. I mean, we got the guy, let's get the chest.
Yeah, we might as well.
And so then, I think they sent Fargus in to get it, because they're like, well, you're the newest guy, we just saved you, so do us a favor. And then it grabbed onto him because it was a fucking mimic.
Yeah. He was not having a good day that day.
Yeah. Anyway.
That one went on a little longer than we expected, but yeah, give me another honorable mention.
Mimics are a classic, so.
Classic TV monster.
My second one is cloakers.
Oh yeah, those are nasty.
I can only imagine, like, with just how much shit people go to, like, they're like, oh, there's a cloak on the ground, they go grab it, and it's just a giant fucking manta ray.
Yeah. Or they actually will hide upside down on the ceilings and then turn around and drop onto you and just envelop around you and squeeze the light.
They do the carpet thing, where there's, like, a living carpet, and you step on the carpet, and then it wraps around you, and then it tries to, like, just bite the crap out of you until you're dead.
Yeah.
And that's terrifying to me because it's a sea creature on the land.
Yeah. So you get a double whammy of you're on the land and you think you're safe, but you're not.
And you also can't even get away from it. Like, if it gets you, you're wrapped up. If you don't have anybody with you, you're just dead.
Yep, that's it. You're done.
So that's fucking creepy.
Oh, they're horrifying. Yeah, all right, so that's a good one. Another great honorable mention for me, the doppelganger.
Oh yeah.
Just like doppelgangers, really the only thing they're like really physically strong and smart, and they can shapeshift into anything virtually perfectly. They can take on like any sort of like physical traits. If they study someone for long enough, they can even mimic like mannerisms, behaviors, like beauty marks, like really simple, fine details. And so they can just kind of pretend to be your friend. And if they have their own personalities, so they might be nice, but if they happen to be serial killers, then they can just kill you.
Yeah.
They're not quite on the list because, like, if they happen to be a good doppelganger,
Then they're
then
just trying to get by.
yeah, they're just trying to like live their life and be a normal person. So like they're not like inherently monstrous, but there's something horrifying about something being able to
They
perfectly
have something they
replicate.
can use to become horrifying if they wish.
Right, yeah. So that's why I put doppelgangers on the honorable mentions list.
Well, my third honorable mention is actually something that's technically not really scary either, and like honestly kind of doesn't really scare me.
Sure.
It's the Elder Tempest.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's an elder elemental, right?
Yes, it's a
Yeah.
huge, like an actually like huge
Yeah.
flying like snake made out of air, and it has like wings.
Yes.
And honestly, I'm like, that's kind of cool. Like, I like it. But also, that's terrifying. Like, imagine looking up into the sky and just a fucking humongous snake is
Yeah.
just flying through the
Yeah.
air.
You see a tornado, but then you look again and the tornado is actually a flying serpent.
So, like, well, that's why it didn't make the list. Like, and that's the thing, too, is it actually never even made it really on the list.
Right.
I was just like, that's kind of cool, but also kind of creepy.
Yeah.
So that's why he got onto the honorable mention.
Yeah, especially this is like everything it touches, it just destroys. It's
for
literally
sure.
it's just a windstorm of destruction. For me, I have another one that's like it's not really scary, but it's just terrifying to encounter, especially in the terms of like my D&D characters. It's the rust monster.
Oh yeah.
This thing is basically like a pony-sized tick that breathes corrosive gas that instantly rusts metal. So if you're a seasoned heroic adventurer, you got your armor and your sword and your shield, and you charge into battle, this thing comes up and just like first of all, you see a nasty bloated tick. And second of all, it burps at you and then your armor just corrodes off of your body and you're defenseless. Your sword snaps in half, your shield gets pockmarked and starts to fade away.
Your armor's gone.
Yeah, like you just like you have to fight this thing with your bare hands.
But it's funny because before we made our lists, he talked to me about like what is scary and what isn't scary, and he used this as an example.
Yes.
And I told him this one was specifically not scary, and he was like, "No, it's scary for literally exactly the reasons he like listed."
Right.
And I'm like, "Yeah, well, that's scary if you're a fighter or a paladin or like something." Yeah. But I play druids and rangers, and so I was like, he's like, "Well, what if Holly's armor got melted away?" I'm like, "She used leather." And he's like, "Well, her arrow, her like bolts were metal," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm 400 feet away." So
yeah, because you were an archer.
So sometimes they're scary, sometimes they're not. There's some people's worst nightmare.
Yes.
And there's some people's minor inconvenience.
Yep, just kind of annoying and in the way.
But I validate that for sure. Like, I can see why that's terrifying.
Yeah, that's why it didn't make the list. Is like it's only scary in certain situations, and it's pretty easy to deal with. If you're far enough away from it, you just it's dead. Squashing a bug from a distance.
My fourth honorable mention was the Howler.
Oh yeah, those are nasty.
I'm not 100% sure where they live. I think it was like a Avernus.
They either live in Avernus or maybe Pandemonium because it's just like a realm of like screaming winds and chaos.
But it's kind of like a skinny bear with like a weird.
It's like one of those moon bears. Those like freaky, weird looking bears.
Not really, but kind of with like a weird like insect face, and it's got like this baboon like pouch on its mouth. I think that's what I'm referring to correctly. Or like a frog pouch.
Yeah, like on its throat. Yeah.
And it's big and red and like looks infected. And it basically just stands up on its hind legs and shrieks. Mm-hmm. And they can be, the reason it didn't make the list is because they're not necessarily aggressive.
Sure.
They can be aggressive if provoked.
Right.
Is what I read. But the thing that's most scary about them is their howl, but apparently they only howl if they're scared or hurt or lonely.
Right.
So it's like it's not actually that scary. The howl apparently is terrifying.
Yeah, it sounds like it's kind of like one of those like those Aztec death whistles. It just sounds like a woman screaming.
But apparently they only do it under like really sad conditions, and they really tried to avoid fighting, but will fight if they have to.
Oh, absolutely. Another honorable mention for me: the Ghast.
The Ghast?
Spin-off of the Ghoul, a stronger version of the Ghoul. A zombie with like tightly pulled, purplish, bruised skin over flesh, emaciated and nasty with a long tongue just lolling out of its mouth and reaching down almost to the center of its navel. They have long, like razor sharp claws, and one of their biggest things is that they're kind of like a nasty zombie. But if they bite you, they inject a neurotoxin into your bloodstream that physically paralyzes you for up to a minute. So you're just like your whole body's just locked up and you can't move while it slowly tears you apart and eats you living.
But think about how good that thing's gonna be at like doing spooky Halloween belly shots.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a really it's right there. The tongue's right there. Just you have to just like move it an inch, and it's fucking you get all the goods. Yeah, great at parties, bad everywhere else.
My next one was the Sea Fury.
Oh, the Sea Fury. That's a bit of an obscure one.
Well, because it's from the Critical Roles from Exandria.
Yeah, it's from the Exandria book. Yep.
They're kind of like it's basically kind of like a sea hag.
Yeah.
They're just like these weird like witches that live in the ocean and honestly I didn't read too much into this one. I just saw like a witchy woman in the ocean that like breathes water and wants
they kind of have a hag like appearance to them.
They're pretty much hags.
Right.
And since it's underwater, it's extra scary, but I wasn't I was like I already have so many underwater creatures, I can't like do a hag, but just be like she's scarier because she's underwater.
Right. Ooh, spoopy.
So she didn't quite make the list, but she's still spooky.
My next three are all somewhat similar to each other, but I'll start with this one. I picked Demogorgon.
Oh yeah,
the demon prince of madness and chaos. Not to be confused with the Stranger Things Demogorgon, which is kind of like the split like corpse flower head monster.
Which they did make into a D&D monster.
They did make that into a D&D monster. It's a very separate thing. It's based off of a different version of the creature from like a very older edition that wasn't necessarily similar to this one. But Demogorgon in D&D lore is basically like a two-headed baboon dragon lizard lion with two bifurcated tentacle arms. So like at the elbow, it splits into two separate tendrils. It's about 50 feet tall. Its eyes drive people to madness or can put you under its control or hypnotize you. It can basically destroy steel with a single, like large steel buildings with a single swing of its arms. It can breathe underwater and lives deep beneath the surface of the ocean, crawling out in order to destroy, kind of like Godzilla style. And it also is capable of like creating an illusory nightmare realm of chaos and madness where everyone is driven to insanity and just starts killing each other. It's kind of like a harbinger of chaos and destruction.
Yeah, he's not good.
Yeah, he's basically like a lesser god of D&D.
Yeah, he's a demon prince.
Yeah. Not quite a god, but not quite not a god.
Right. My next one was the Spawn of Caius.
Oh, the Spawn of Kios.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, those are fucked.
They're basically regular ass zombies, but they like are full of these nasty worms.
Yeah.
And God, like think anyone who's seen Princess Mononoke, the boar in the beginning of Princess Mononoke is kind of like the undead this thing is. Any of these little worms can jump out onto you and they burrow into your skin, and if enough of them do it, then you become one of these things pretty much. It kills you and you become one.
It infects you with burrowing worms that like dig around in your flesh and writhe in your body.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, they're fucking awful.
And
I am mortified by those things.
This one was very close to going on my list. The only reason it didn't is because I had a few things I thought were kind of scarier. But honestly, like this one probably should have been on the list.
Sure.
I just only had 10 spots.
Oh, got you.
Yeah, this is not a thing I want to encounter. And don't let me do that, please. Please don't put it in the game.
No promises. Do you want to know a fun story?
Sure.
You guys actually missed one.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. It was in, remember when you guys only got like a third of the way through the dungeon underneath Grackles too?
Yeah.
There was one in there. Yeah. You guys
never
didn't find it.
been more fucking happy that I told everyone to turn back when I did.
Yeah, so
your next honorable.
My next honorable mention is another demon prince. Actually,
Okay.
it is Dweeblex, the faceless lord, demon prince of oozes. It is basically a greenish yellow puke-like mass of monstrous, vile, disgusting slime. It basically engulfs and subsumes any living thing that it sees and just kind of like immediately corrodes them into bone and powder, and then just kind of continues on feeding on any living creature.
Jeez, I'm gonna buy you fucking like a whatever that is that kids like for Halloween. It's gonna freak you out.
Oh, the fucking like the silly putty that you, or like the floop that you can like stick your fingers in and it poots.
Yeah, no, it's like I don't know why the word's evading me currently. It's the slime. That's what it is.
Oh,
Kids
sure,
love
yeah.
slime these days, and
Yeah,
I'm
they
gonna
really
buy you one,
do.
and I'm gonna go boo.
Nah, fuck that shit. I don't like that. That's yeah. You give slime eyes. I fucking hate it. Yeah, he was just like a nasty slime boy, but he kind of just like he's just large and eats stuff. He's not really like he doesn't have anything like monster movie about him, which is why I didn't put him on the list.
Large acidic boy.
Yep.
And my last honorable mention is a classic to me.
To you.
Sperm whale.
Oh, just a sperm whale.
Just a sperm whale.
Just a regular old.
I literally
sperm
saw
whale.
on the list, and I was like, "Why does this exist?"
Oh God.
There's a theme here, guys. Anything that lives in the water and is at least 3 times bigger than me needs to fucking die.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely fucking horrifying.
But, yep, that's my honorables. Here's the last one.
My last honorable mention is the creepiest of the demon princes, in my opinion, Zuckmoy, demon
Oh,
queen
she
of
almost
fungus.
went on mine.
Yep, she's awful. Her favorite thing, she envelops herself in nature, but she likes to pervert nature to her own will. She's very involved with mushrooms and fungus, and she likes to infect people with mind controlling spores that slowly grow plants out of their body and overtake them, to turn them into these sort of like writhing maggot like monstrosities of plant. And then she kind of turns them into these like mock puppets and makes them dance for her amusement.
Yeah.
She's also like a 60-foot tall fungus monster. She's just nasty. Ignore the clamoring.
Yeah, ignore our ghost.
Yeah. Oh, the ghost is back. That's what it is. Absolutely.
I'm not even gonna address him as him. He's just the ghost for this episode.
All right. So with our honorable mentions out of the way,
top three.
The bronze medal. Which of the two does it go to? Let's start with your number 3.
Is the Kraken.
Oh yeah, I'm actually genuinely surprised this wasn't 2 or 1 for you. I really thought you were going to put it higher.
Yeah, well, no, it's Kraken.
Okay, that's reasonable.
He's a gargantuan monstrosity, titan, chaotic evil.
Yeah.
Bleh.
Titan meaning like some sort of like elder monstrosity.
Pretty much. He's also called Lopok by the Lokathan.
Oh, by the Lokatha, they're like fish.
There
people,
you go.
Yeah.
He's a large ocean-dwelling mystical beast, feared across the known world. They're creatures that dwell in the depths of the ocean and come to surface and prey upon ships and their crews. They're akin to squids, except much larger in size. They have a body that's about... this one's for the juvenile, I'm pretty sure. So it says when they're juvenile, they're about 30 feet long.
Yeah.
They had a similar body with a ring of tentacles surrounding their mouth, connected to a conical central body. He's like Tony.
Oh yeah, it's like a giant squid, basically, is a good way to look at it.
Yeah, except this one has like a head on the top of the squid body.
Sure.
2 of its tentacles are much longer than the rest and have deadly barbs. He has very large eyes and fins protruding from the upper part of his elongated form. Their massive tentacles could crush the hull of a galleon. The average kraken was about 100 feet in length and weighed about 4,000 pounds. Krakens are highly destructive and evil creatures. With their strong tentacles and massive strength, they could pull an entire ship down into the ocean. They often completely wiped tropical islands out by just by themselves. And they can pull islands deep beneath the ocean if they want to. They have cavernous lairs where they breed human slaves to feed and tend to them.
That's the other weird thing about D&D Krakens is that they're very intelligent and have like humanoid behaviors.
Yes.
They're definitely malicious and like to keep human slaves.
They aren't like the fucking one I had on here earlier, the dragon turtle.
Yeah.
That like just like he's evil too, but he wants to sink the ship.
Yeah, he wants to smash stuff.
He wants to smash the ship and get the gold. This guy wants to kill you or take you and like have you tend to him.
Right.
While krakens themselves are quite powerful, many never actually see their body. It's hid below the surface of the water where it can be protected from any attacks by ship's defenders. The kraken instead sends forth its massive tentacles to catch crewmen and drag them below the water, where the beast could devour the unfortunate souls in one gulp. Krakens attacked predominantly with their tentacles, and they could both constrict opponents and bring them into the reach of their jaws. In addition, krakens can also release an enormous cloud of jet black ink, regenerate severed limbs, and even cast spells.
Yeah, they're mages. They can use thunder magic sometimes
They're
too.
fucking and this one also has sharks next to it, and it's not even as big as its fucking eyeball.
Oh yeah,
like
this thing's ridiculous.
Terrifying.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the biggest creatures in D&D.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure one of them also lives in the Sword Sea.
A kraken? Oh yeah, probably.
Like the fuck.
Yeah, you've got some real nasty waters out there. That's why people don't go there very much.
I hate it.
That's good for you.
It's definitely number 3. Like if I ran into this, like, sorry, trigger warning, like, not really even a joke, I would off myself before it got to me. Yeah. Because I don't want that.
That's why I'm genuinely surprised it's not higher on your list. Like it's a nightmare for you.
Yeah. It's
the worst possible thing.
Yeah.
You used one against your brother's party when you were
I did.
Yeah.
And
look at you.
And really, the thing is the Kraken came and started to attack their boat. I wanted them to have something like really terrifying to kind of set the mood and get them engaged.
Yeah.
But also, very out of character for it. It quickly lost interest and left them. And mainly because I didn't want to straight up kill them.
Right.
And the other part was because I didn't want to actually do it.
Right.
I was like, I don't want to actually do the Kraken fight. So like,
let's leave. I don't want to do this for more than 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Like, we're done.
But they enjoyed the encounter, even though it was real half-assed. So I mean, as long as they liked it,
that's what matters in the end, right?
Yeah.
So my number 3,
your bronze medal.
My bronze medal. That's gonna go to the Cibriex.
The Cibriex?
The Cibriex. One of the nastiest demons in existence. I'm going to show you a picture.
Which one?
This one.
Oh, gross.
Of the Cibriex. And then hopefully you're all seeing it as well. The Cibriex, thought to be as old as the abyss itself, Cibriexes haunt remote parts of the plane, where they use vile abilities to breed new horrors and apprehend forbidden lore. Rivulets of blood and bile cascade constantly from a Cibriex's body. Where these noxious fluids hit the ground, the landscape instantly pollutes. It's huge size, so it's probably about like 30 to 35 feet tall. It is sort of like a chained, bloated, levitating mass of bile and pus and boils with a like slithering face. It looks like if Jabba the Hutt was in a car accident. Like, it's disgusting.
Not far off.
It's like dripping with ooze and pus and goo, and just kind of like levitates there and pollutes everything that it floats over. It corrupts everything within 30 feet of it. Anyone who's within 30 feet of the creature is basically has a hard time walking through the muddy, blood and pus covered ground. It also instantly withers plants and poisons everything. You start coughing and hacking immediately. It is resistant to magic. It has a gnashing, acidic mouth that burns, and it gives you chemical burns and caustic damage to the flesh when it bites you. It lashes out with chains that are wrapped around its body and pierces them through you from a distance. It can shoot acidic bile up to 120 feet away from it that can melt through steel. nearly instantaneously. It has the ability to use some magic, namely, it can paralyze you with a look. It can dispel any magical effects that are protecting you from it. It can charm you and put you under its mental influence. Oh yeah, it can cast charm person. And it can command you. It can basically make you follow certain simple commands and tasks, basically putting you under its control for a short period of time. And last but not least, a couple of times, well, second to last but not least, a couple of times per day, it can use the Feeble Mind spell. So basically, it digs into your mind and basically corrupts your neural passageways in your brain, basically dropping you to animalistic intelligence and rendering you incapable of simple thought. Your in game terms, your intelligence charisma drop to 1. In real terms, you basically become no smarter than your average squirrel and completely feral, unable to differentiate friend from foe, rhyme from reason. You basically just become an animal, and that lasts for about 30 days.
That's I don't like that.
Yeah, it's really, really nasty. But that's not the worst part. The thing that made it number 3 for me is that it has the magical ability. It is well, the crafter of demon kind. It is a creature that other demons go to in order to create new demons from other creatures. They have been gathering forbidden lore and ancient arcane secrets for millions and millions of years, and have been using that to kind of give shape and life to new demonic beings. It is a flesh warper. It has the ability to, while concentrating over the course of just a couple of seconds, if it looks at you, it can take a part of your body and it can reshape it, warping the physical flesh rapidly and permanently changing your physical form. It can do such things as swell your body, tripling your weight. It can rapidly stretch out your ears and turn them into bat-like wings. It can push the bones out of your fingers and elongate them into razor-sharp claws. It can push your eyes out of your head and plant them on the ends of stalks. It can switch the position of your arms and your legs, putting your legs where your arms are and your arms where your legs are. And it can turn your fingers into extremely long tentacles that are covered in like this gross, greasy goo. It can do all this, like it blinks and suddenly your arms and your legs are switched. You feel everything. You literally feel as your body like reshapes itself and your flesh liquefies and warps and melds out until you take on the new shape that it has decided of you. And it can continue to reshape you at will until it's tired of you or until it's dead. So that's that. It's a nasty, horrifying monster, and just the idea of like me like seeing this pus and bile covered creature and just having it like squirt pus at me and then like lick, basically like melt my chest and open up my rib cage and then just kind of like make like fucking worms and shit come out of it and just yeah, it's like it's horrifying. This thing is basically like if anyone ever reads comic, it's like it reads like Marvel comics. It's like MODOK, but like covered in like goo and bile and pus, and it just like reshapes you to its whim. Disgusting creature. That's why it's my number 3.
God, which one's worse?
Between the Kraken and that thing, the thing is like if I saw one of these, it would torment you before you die. The Kraken would also the Kraken likes to play with its food. They're both nasty, but I think like as much as I'm not as terrified of the water as you, I think I got to give it to the Kraken on this one.
Like they're both terrifying.
Yeah, like these are both like nightmare fuel creatures, but the Kraken is just so much larger and so much more like devastating.
You could try to escape
the Sibriacs. Yeah, you could.
Like, not saying you would, but you could try for sure.
120 foot acid is like, but that's the thing. It's like if the worst thing that happens to you is like you see it from far away and it shoots at you and melts you, then you're dead. You don't have to deal with it like basically putting your eye, like swapping your eye in your butt. Like you don't have to worry about
But
that.
the Kraken, you're on a ship. You don't even really get to see it until it grabs you with its tentacle and pulls you under the water and either eats you or like drags you through the water to make you its like slave, basically.
I think the most terrifying thing about the Kraken and what puts it over the edge, I think for me, is the fact that it likes to play with its food.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like this thing, like it reshapes you, but it's experimenting. It's not like playing with you. It's just like it's gonna mold you into the flesh form it wants, and then it leaves you like that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you die, you die.
Which you probably will.
Right, yeah. I mean, like, most people can't, like, handle having their limbs liquefied and reshaped. Like, it just doesn't work. But.
Yeah, that's really fucking close.
Yeah.
But
I think I honestly do give it to the Kraken on this one.
Yeah, I'm probably going to give it to the Kraken, too.
I figured as much.
You did give him a run for his money. Like, I almost picked yours, but just that thing.
Number 2.
Silver medal.
Silver medal.
I picked the Astral Dreadnought.
Oh, that one's nasty.
Yes. It is a gargantuan monstrosity. They live on the astral plane. And it speaks supernatural?
Supernal.
Supernal.
I think so, yeah.
My dyslexia.
That's okay.
Anyway, Astral Dreadnoughts, I'm hoping you're seeing this because it's awful. And
this thing's a classic D&D monster.
This thing's not just like this little thing crawling around on the fucking ground. This is a gargantuan astral being.
Yeah, it's the size of an island.
Astral Dreadnoughts were massive creatures. They have a single large eye above a large mouth filled with sharp teeth. Instead of hands, they have crab-like pincers, which are incredibly strong and lined with sharp serrated edges. Their entire bodies are protected by a layer of strong spiked armor plates, and the lower half of their body is serpentine. Legend has it that their lower half is infinite, stretching off into the distance. The eye of the Astral Dreadnought is capable of nullifying any magic within a cone shaped area that's 100 yards in length and then 20 at its widest point. This anti-magic field was identical to the anti-magic spell, so just no magic. Astral Dreadnoughts project an aura of fear, which is why it is also very terrifying. It makes you scared.
Oh yeah, it literally like mentally tricks you into being afraid of it. Not that you really
need the tricking.
Yeah.
Astral Dreadnoughts feed on the astral projection of travelers that it encounters in the astral plane. So like you basically your spirit. It has little interest in creatures who are physically present, unless you provoke it. Astral Dreadnoughts are incredibly rare, and in fact are so rare that it's debated that only one actually exists. Astral Dreadnoughts lack any sort of digestive system. Instead, anything that it consumes is sent to a unique demiplane. This demiplane has a breathable atmosphere and gravity. Magic functions normally there, and the creature is capable of escaping it if it's strong enough, if you're lucky to even be alive when you get to that point. The demiplane vanishes upon the Astral Dreadnought's death. Anything within is released into the astral plane. The Astral Dreadnought does not require food, liquid, or sleep in order to survive.
It's kind of just like a floating, like massive elder god.
Yeah. That apparently just goes on forever and ever and ever and ever.
Oh, yeah.
And if it doesn't kill you before it eats you, because it doesn't have to eat too, it just chooses to.
Right, of course.
So if you're alive by the time it does eat you, you go to this weird demiplane that you might be able to escape. If you're not strong enough, then you're fucked. You just live there until either you die or it dies, and then everything just disintegrates.
Yeah, it's fucking like it's basically it really is just one of the biggest things that exists in like all of like D&D lore. It's just this massive floating like sky island that just overwhelms and consumes everything in its path.
Well, because that's the worst fucking part of it too, is because it literally says it doesn't have to eat or drink or sleep, but it has a listed diet of carnivore.
Yeah, because like it likes to eat.
It just likes to eat you.
Yeah, it doesn't need to survive. It just really
just wants to.
Yeah, malicious in nature.
Like, oh god, if I saw this thing, I would die of fright.
So, my number 2,
Mm-hmm.
my silver medal to combat your astral dreadnought is another sort of like elder evil kind of monstrosity, similar to that. And we already talked a little bit about something about it
Okay.
earlier with one of your honorable mentions, actually.
Oh.
Mine is a elder evil, formerly a demigod, known as the Worm That Walks, also known as Kias.
Oh.
Much bigger than the spawn of Kias that you almost put on your list. This is uh, this is the like
The ooze to beat all oozes.
it's the worm like tendrilous eldritch abomination horror um to end all. It is basically just a creature that is humanoid shaped, but is a writhing, ever churning mass of maggots and worms crawling over each other, seeking dominance. It is 30 meters tall,
Okay.
which, if my conversion is correct, it's like 90 feet. So it's basically just like a 90-foot mass of maggots and worms. It has that same thing where the worms that drop off will then attempt to crawl inside of your body and like wriggle around and infect and drink like liquid from you. Um, Once it is able to successfully kill you, the worm will convert you into a spawn of Kias. That same worm writhing mass, and then continue to exponentially grow and expand.
Yeah, I just
Um,
converted 30 meters to feet. It's 98.5
yeah,
feet.
yeah, almost 100-foot tall monstrosity. Um, it has the ability to, as it uh, purges the worms from its body into the sort of realms that it is exposing itself to. Those worm-like creatures can actually take the shape of greater worm-like monstrosities, such familiar D&D creatures as the Remoras or the Purple Worm.
Oh.
Massive, gargantuan creatures with like basically like 30-foot long stomachs that are all just tubes of blades that it will actually like purge from its body and that herald this essence. It floats around in the plains as this sort of like eldritch god, and when it's attempting to merge with another realm and kind of become one with the world, those creatures kind of emerge from it and herald its arrival, kind of writhing out from it and carving a path for the creature to move through. Also, being a former god, it is extremely intelligent and powerful, despite being a massive undead entity that rivals some of the demon princes. It's also an 18th level sorcerer. It has the ability to control your mind. It can banish things to other realms of existence, conjure lightning, disintegrate things, and drain the blood and water from your physical form.
Lovely,
Um,
lovely.
it is also able to control and dispel magical effects, make itself invisible, teleport, shit like that.
Is that it?
Um, no, that's a star spawn.
Oh,
This thing
okay.
is like, there's not very good pictures of it. Hopefully, we're able to find something, but like, it's kind of an older creature. We may just put the spawn of Kias up and then have you use your imagination.
Mm-hmm.
But this creature is an utterly massive entity, and that's why it's my number 2. It's big, it's nasty, it like wriggles worms into your flesh and turns you into a maggot abomination, which is disgusting to me. But still not quite my number 1 for my own personal nightmare reasons.
Well, now, which one's the creepiest?
Between Kios, and your number 2 was again.
The Astral
Oh, the
Dreadnought
Astral Dreadnought. I mean, they're both horrifying. I personally think the Worm That Walks
is
is
creepier.
creepier. It's like I was gonna put the Spawn of Kias up really high. It was almost on my list. Um, but I mean, this thing just takes it up to 11. Like it's just one of the most nightmarish creatures in existence.
I don't know. That astral dreadnought's kind of fucking creepy.
To me, it just kind of seems like it's just this big, giant, like rock crab that floats and then just hope it just scoops you up and you're gone. That's it. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it seems like it's horrifying to encounter, but it's not like
A lot of mine come from a sense of helplessness. Like,
sure, okay, that makes sense.
I feel like if you made your way to that thing, if it wants to eat you, you're gone. The end. No fight.
Sure.
I guess I don't really know about the worm that walks. It's a 100 fucking foot tall thing that could probably just scoop you up.
Yeah.
But
And like also it just like it drops worms onto the ground. If one of them touches you, it's just you're gonna turn into a maggot mass. You're just done. Yeah. I know. I gotta give it to the worm that walks on this one.
we might have to do another
All right, we're firing off some rock, paper, scissors, ladies and gents.
Okay. I won one with
Yeah.
rock.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
we
got
won
one.
with scissors. Oh.
I won this time. Yeah, you heard it here, everybody.
Worm that
I'm
walks.
the rock, paper, scissors champion, and Worm that walks wins the silver medal of nastiness.
But then ultimately it does go to you guys. You guys get to pick which one you think's creepy.
That's true. Yeah, feel free to negate my victory.
Well, I said that about all of mine.
I'm just messing. Okay, so I think that brings us to our final, our piece de resistance, as it were, the nightmare fuel, the most horrifying, Halloween themed, spooky, creepy Dungeons and Dragons monster.
My gold medal I'll go with first because it's going to be short. Because mine is the Atropal.
The Atropal. Oh yeah, you did mention it was further up on the list. Yeah, that's yeah. I mean,
That's the undead god child that floats through space.
Yeah, the floating god fetus.
I put it as number 1 just because, my god.
Like, yeah, there's so much about it that's just
wrong and terrifying and sad and scary.
Yeah.
Like, it's huge. It just floats through space. Imagine, like, literally, like, if you're playing in space, like, if you ever got yourself to a point where you could play D&D in space, just floating across one of these.
Yeah.
Nightmare fuel.
So you're in a sky ship and you just see that and it's getting closer.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're trapped alone in the endless expanse and it's coming for you.
Yeah. Like, it's pretty much like the ocean, but worse because it's space.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a very good point.
Like, I had to give that one number 1 because it kills you with its cry. It's immune to magic. Like, it literally, it's a god. It's an undead god baby, but it's a fucking god.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's so nasty. That's a good one. That's going to be a hard one for me to beat. I put it lower, but like honestly, a lot of my top ones, like there's so many reasons why some could be worse than others. But we'll see how we feel about this last one.
Okay, your gold medal.
My gold medal, in my opinion, the most disturbing creature in Dungeons and Dragons. It's going to be the Elder Oblex.
The Elder Oblex.
The Elder Oblex. It's another ooze.
Of course it's an ooze. Let me see it. Oh, I knew you were going to pick that one.
Yeah, did you?
I did.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was going to be your number 1, but I knew it was going to be on your list.
Number 1, yeah. The Elder Oblex. It's a little bit of background on this creature. By experimenting on the slimes, jellies, and puddings that infest the depths of the Underdark, mind flayers create a special breed of ooze, the Oblex, a slime capable of assaulting the minds of other creatures. Cunning hunters, these pools of jelly stalk prey, searching for the memories they so desperately crave. When oblexes feed on those thoughts, sometimes killing their victims, they can form weird copies of the prey, which help them to harvest even more victims for their dark masters. They do not require sleep. The sharper the mind, the better the meal. They seek to engulf their victim and drain their memories and thoughts to create new ideas of them. They start off as spawns and are very tiny creatures that just kind of like schloop around and aren't particularly threatening. But as they grow, they consume more memories. They can start to use those memories to manipulate and control people, gaining a supernatural intelligence. First of all, an elder oblex, which is huge size that can grow up to almost like 25 to 30 feet in size. Though it usually shrinks down to be a little bit smaller just to reach its victims. It is, first of all, an ooze, so it's completely amorphous. Despite its massive size, it can sink into 1-inch cracks and move effortlessly through them. It has the ability to read your mind, charm you, teleport, take control of your mind, create an illusion of the nearby terrain to look like anything it wants. It can telekinetically control you, and it can hypnotize you with swirling colors like you've taken some sort of hallucinogenic drug, holding you in place, lolling about. It can reach out its mind to charm and beguile up to 4 people at once, luring them into a false sense of security and drawing them towards it to feed on it. One of its biggest tells is that the creature smells of sulfur, and that's the best way to tell if you smell the scent of sulfur around a person, it's probably an oblex appendage. But it can send out a tendril of itself, this crimson blood red ooze, like it's basically like a fucked up pile of jello. And then it shapes that ooze into a perfect replica of a creature from one of the memories that it has consumed, whether it's a memory of your own self or memory of a loved one or a family member. If the creature has fed on your memories in the past, it can then encounter you at a later point, taking on the shape of your friends, families, and loved ones to lure you in. In some cases, it has even absorbed the memories and minds of entire towns and villages, staying in a well in the center and extending its tendrils through small cracks in the ground and taking the shape of humans who continue to go about their day-to-day activities with no one understanding the wiser. It can consume your memories, and the worst part about that is once it has consumed a memory from you, you don't have it anymore.
Oh, great.
When it eats your memories, if it eats a vision of one of your loved ones, that loved one to you feels faint. You still feel like you knew them, but they're distant somehow. A name you can't recall, a face that's blurry in your vision. Yeah, Gautier had it right. And perhaps worst of all of these, despite all of this thing, it would be fine if it was just acting on instinct. No, the Elder Oblex, in terms of Dungeons and Dragons, has an intelligence score of 22. That is roughly equivalent to an IQ of 220. It is a literal genius, a mastermind. It can think, it can plan, it can manipulate, it can charm, it can make friends. And it can use its surroundings to its utmost advantage, taking every single corner case opportunity it has, and by picking at your memories, it can pick apart your weaknesses, find the things that make you afraid, and conjure them into existence, terrify you, haunt you, stalk you for eternity. It can play. It doesn't necessarily feel like it wants to kill you. It grows off of memories. And if it can make more memories with you, well, it's creating even more food. It can continue to crawl into your mind and pick more and more pieces of you apart until you're just an empty shell. And then it'll set you free to learn and grow more, and it'll come get you again, over and over, for as long as it wants. And interesting fun fact about the creature that I think is enjoyable and breaks the tension a little bit. The creature is relatively new to Dungeons and Dragons. The Oblex was actually created. I can look up the name of the individual. It was created by someone as part of a Make-A-Wish Foundation thing. It was
Wow.
I think he was a teenager. And he really wanted to make a scary monster for Dungeons and Dragons, so he got it as part of his Make-A-Wish, and they let him design a monster, and he came up with this fucking monstrosity.
Well, he fucking succeeded.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things. I genuinely cannot wait to use it against you guys.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I can look up the information. I will get the name of the individual who created the creature, but it was part of a Make-A-Wish Foundation. It was created by guest designer Nolan Whale as part of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Yep. So yeah, that's my number one. It's nightmare fuel. It's a monster that keeps on giving. It doesn't even necessarily kill. It just takes and takes and takes and manipulates and plays and twists your mind, using you as a puppet to feed off of itself and growing smarter and stronger.
Well, I mean, if anything, I'll have to give it to you the special. I mean, one, it's creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
But also, like, we already put my pick further down.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's
so.
true. The thing is, like, I genuinely think your creature is horrifying. I think it's more nightmare fuel. I tend to like more like really psychological horror, like body snatchers kind of horror is kind of the thing that really gets me. That's my line.
Mm-hmm.
And this creature is like the king of that. This is the centerpiece. This thing can live in the center of a town and then just turn an entire town or village into its puppets. And then anyone who comes by, like, you can just walk into a village one day to sell some stuff, and then they're like, oh yeah, come into the back room, drink this drink, it's red Kool-Aid, it's totally not Oblex goo that will suck
Who
your
just
memories.
takes Kool-Aid from a random ass dude?
We're nice, we are friends. Cast charm person at 5th level, we are friends. It's a high.
They're both BBEG kind of.
Oh yeah, they're bad boys.
And of course, if I was going to be like super biased, I'd be like, yeah, I think mine's scarier for me.
Yours
definitely.
Is horrifying, absolutely.
But I'll probably give it to yours.
All right. You heard it here, folks. The Elder Oblex, the scariest monster in Dungeons and Dragons. But no, realistically, like, all of these things are horrifying and nightmarish.
Yeah.
Here's something I didn't even think about until right now. If you happen to be running a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, and you're listening to this podcast, it's you still have a couple of days left before Halloween, so feel free to take any of these creatures and some of these ideas we've brought out and just kind of throw them into a fun little one shot. Get your group together for Halloween, have like a real creepy like monster movie night. Everyone can roll up some fun characters or bring their favorites, and maybe you can fight an Oblex or an Atropal or a worm that walks or something fucked up like that.
Or better yet, use all of them.
Yeah. Just like get a one shot with all of your friends together and just fucking murder them. Just throw everything in at once.
What's scarier than getting murdered on Halloween night with your friends?
I mean, isn't that half the fun though?
I think that's like the trope of Halloween.
Absolutely. So yeah, hopefully this inspired you to find some real spooky, nasty horrors for your next D&D game,
or at least put you into spooky horror mood.
Yeah, exactly. Like a little monster movie checklist without even having to watch a monster movie.
There you go.
Also, take a look to see if any of the creatures in the monster movies you're going to be watching for Halloween match any of the characteristics or traits of any of these things. See if you can see where the inspiration for some of these famous D&D monsters might have been drawn from, or maybe where the monsters in your favorite movie drew inspiration from Dungeons and Dragons.
And let us know what your favorite scary monsters are, because they might not even be on the list.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If you know of something that you think we missed and you think is horrifying, drop it in the comments. We want to see scary monsters. We want to see, like, personal stories of your own campaigns of nightmarish creatures. We want to hear you tell us we're
D&D plans for Halloween.
Yeah, oh yeah, if you have a fun one-shot or a cool session plan for your D&D game, let us know about a cool Halloween game coming up. We would love to hear all about it. We're definitely going to be doing something. I don't know if it's going to be Halloween themed, but we're definitely going to be playing D&D.
For once, I'd want it to be Halloween themed.
I know. Oh, you know what? Halloween's on a Saturday this year. D&D's Friday night for us. Of course, it will turn into Halloween in the middle of the game since we play at night.
There you go.
So we definitely have a spooky full moon D&D game going on this week. So we'll let you know how that goes.
For sure.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning into our little top 10 list of spooky D&D monsters. As always, we appreciate you all for listening. We want to let's not.
We'll tease in the description what we're doing next.
Yeah, we'll tease in the description. I have a couple of ideas kicking around. I'm not quite sure yet, but we'll kind of leave the Halloween themes on a spooky note and kind of let the next month speak for itself.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening again. It's been a pleasure as always.
Happy Halloween!
Happy Halloween. Make sure to eat plenty of candy and enjoy your spooky movies. Okay, we love you. Goodbye.
Love you. Bye.